Dear beloved friend, good morning. As the first light of dawn gently breaks the silence of night, I welcome you into this sacred moment. The world is still quiet. The air carries a soft chill that feels like a whisper from heaven. The sky blushes with the first hints of color, and for a few precious minutes, everything feels possible. This is not just another morning. This is the beginning of something new, a divine invitation to pause, to breathe, and to turn our hearts toward the one who sees us completely and loves us still. I want to begin by telling you a story. It is not dramatic or loud, but it is real. Maybe you will recognize yourself in it. There was a woman who used to wake up each morning with a knot in her stomach. Her eyes would open before the alarm, not from rest, but from restlessness. She smiled for others, laughed when needed, and got through each day without anyone noticing the weight she carried. But inside, she was breaking. Her heart had been bruised too many times by betrayal, by words she could never forget, by silence that screamed louder than anger. She had lost someone she loved, and with that loss came questions that haunted her in the quiet moments. Why did this happen? Will I ever feel whole again? Am I strong enough to keep going? She believed in God, but her prayers had grown quiet, not because she stopped believing, but because she did not know what to say anymore. She did not need perfect answers or polished theology. She needed a safe place to pour out her pain, a sacred moment to feel seen without judgment, a space where tears were welcome and hope was more than a distant concept. And one morning, much like this one, she whispered a simple sentence into the silence. Help me. Perhaps you have whispered something like that too. Maybe you are holding things that no one else knows about. Maybe you are carrying grief, anger, confusion, or shame. Maybe the smile on your face hides a storm in your soul. Or maybe you have just felt far from peace for too long and do not know how to find your way back. Whatever brought you here today, I want you to know this. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. And this moment, this very breath is not random. It is holy. What you are about to begin is not a lesson or a lecture. It is a journey, a conversation, a sacred 24-day walk with God through the places of your heart that have been locked away. We will move slowly, chapter by chapter, from pain into purpose, from fear into peace. This is not about pretending everything is fine. It is about learning to bring everything, yes, everything into the presence of the one who heals, redeems, and restores. There will be moments when the words speak directly to your wounds. There will be days when you may cry or even resist, because healing is not always comfortable, but healing is always possible. And over these next 24 mornings, something powerful will begin to shift, not because of the beauty of the words, but because of the power of prayer. Because when you begin to speak with God in honesty, even in your brokenness, you give Him permission to work in places that have been untouched for too long. The act of prayer is not just something we do to feel spiritual. It is the most honest, raw, and transforming language we have with our Creator. It is where the soul finally breathes. And when you commit to this sacred conversation each morning, you will begin to feel something changing, not always loudly, but deeply. You will see that the pieces of your heart can be gathered and held gently by the one who made you. You will remember that your story is not over and that your pain is not wasted. You will be reminded, day by day, that God has never stopped loving you, not even for a moment. So I invite you, right now, to take this first step. You do not need to have all the answers. You do not need to feel strong. You do not even need to feel ready. All you need is a willing heart. Let this be your sacred pause. Let this morning be your beginning. Not just the beginning of another day, but the beginning of healing, of clarity, of restoration, and of hope returning where sorrow once lived. Find a quiet space. Take a deep breath. Open your heart. The journey is about to begin. Dear Heavenly Father, this morning I come to you with the first breath of day still hanging in the air. The world around me is still waking up, but my heart has been stirring long before the sun rose. There is a heaviness I cannot shake, a quiet H that follows me even into the light. I do not come with perfect words or great strength. I come simply because I need you. I come because I cannot carry this weight alone anymore. You see the parts of me that I keep hidden from others. You know the memories I avoid, the fears I do not speak, the pain I have learned to live with, like it is a part of who I am. But I do not want to live like this anymore. I do not want to pretend that I am okay when I am not. I want to begin again, not by erasing the past, but by inviting you into it. There are rooms in my heart that I have kept closed for so long. Rooms filled with old hurts, with unanswered questions, with things I thought time would heal, but instead they just grew quiet and heavy. I walk through the motions of my days, while those rooms remain locked, gathering dust and silence. But this morning I feel you gently asking me to open one of those doors. Not all of them, not all at once, but just one. You are not forcing, you are inviting. And though I am scared, I want to say yes. Because deep down I believe you are not coming to judge me, but to sit with me. You are not coming to point at the mess, but to help me clean it. You are not coming with a list of what I should have done better. You are coming with mercy. And I am ready to see what happens when I let you in. I do not know how to begin other than to say I am tired. I am tired of pretending, tired of smiling through pain, tired of thinking I have to be strong all the time. I am tired of carrying this weight of being afraid to feel, of being afraid to trust. Somewhere along the way, I decided it was safer to shut the door and keep moving than to stop and feel what was behind it. But today something is different. Today I feel a little more brave, a little more willing to believe that maybe healing is not just for other people, maybe it is for me too. Maybe I do not have to fix everything before I invite you in. Maybe you want to be with me in the middle of it, not just when it is all cleaned up. So here I am standing at the edge of that locked room, holding the key in shaking hands. I do not even know what is behind this door anymore. Maybe it is anger, maybe it is loss, maybe it is shame or betrayal or words I never said or forgiveness I never gave. Maybe it is all of it. But you already know, you already see it, and still you are not turning away. That alone gives me the courage to take this next breath. That alone gives me the strength to turn the key, because if you are going to be with me, then I believe I can face it. Dear God, I want this day to begin not with hiding, but with honesty. I do not want to spend another morning pretend to be fine when I am not. I want to bring you the real me, the raw, unfiltered, aching version of myself. I want to be seen, truly seen, and still held. I believe you are that kind of father, one who leans in when others pull away, one who calls me beloved even when I feel broken, one who runs to me even when I have nothing beautiful to offer. I do not come with songs today. I come with silence. I come with this heart that is unsure but willing. And I lay it before you, not asking for instant answers, but asking for your presence to meet me right here. I am not asking you to take away everything hard. I am asking you to sit with me in it. I am asking you to help me take the first step toward healing. I do not know what that step looks like today. Maybe it is just this prayer. Maybe it is just opening the door and breathing again. Maybe it is letting go of one lie I have believed for too long, that I am too far gone, that it is too late, that healing is for someone else. Let those lies fall away as I speak with you. Replace them with something truer, that I am not alone, that you are near, that this very moment is holy because you are in it. There are mornings when hope feels like a stranger, when joy feels distant and unreachable. But if I have learned anything, it is that you show up in the quiet spaces. You whisper truth into weary hearts. You draw near when I do not know how to reach for you. So even if this morning feels shadowed, even if the weight still rests on my chest, I will not run from it. I will sit with it, and I will sit with you. I will believe that even now you are doing something in the stillness. Even now you are beginning something I cannot yet see. I want to learn how to breathe again, how to believe again. I want to know what it feels like to wake up without dread, without the silent fear that today will just be another copy of yesterday. I want to believe that something new can begin even here, that the pain does not get the final word, that my story is not finished just because it has been hard. I want to believe that you are writing something deeper, for something more beautiful than I could ever imagine. But I do not need to see the end right now. I just need enough light for this one step, enough grace for this one breath, enough peace to know I am not alone. So this morning I open the door, just a little, just enough to let the light begin to filter in. Just enough to let the dust move and the air shift. I am not rushing. I am not pushing. I am simply making room for you. Come and sit with me in this beginning. Come and meet me where I am. Come and remind me that even the smallest yes can move mountains. Even the quietest prayer can touch heaven. I do not need to be perfect. I just need to be present. I just need to keep showing up, and so I will. Let this be the morning that begins the turning. Let this be the day the shadows start to lift. Let this be the moment when something begins to heal deep inside of me. I do not need a miracle, I just need you. I do not need to feel everything right now. Just need to trust that you are here. And I do. Even in the silence, even in the doubt, I believe you are near. I believe you are gentle. I believe you are patient with my heart. And I will keep coming back to this place again and again, because this is where healing begins, in the quiet, in the morning, in the shadows that soften in the light of your love. Father, as I sit here in this quiet moment again, I am still thinking about the door I opened yesterday. I did not swing it wide, I just let it crack enough for the light to begin touching what I have hidden. And now I feel it. That small shift in the air, that slow stirring of something that has been still for too long. It is not loud and it is not sudden, but it is real. And it brings with it something unexpected. Not peace just yet, not joy, but an awareness. An awareness of what I have been carrying for so long that I stopped noticing its weight. There is a weight, Father, that lives inside of me, and I do not remember when I first picked it up. Maybe it came from disappointment or words I never forgot. Maybe it formed slowly from things I never said or from expectations I never met. Maybe I tried to protect myself by taking on more than I could hold, thinking if I stayed strong enough, nothing would fall apart. But somewhere in the middle of it all, I began to sink. Not all at once, but gradually, like standing in water that keeps rising. Now I see that I have become skilled at moving through life while burdened, smiling while aching, achieving while avoiding. I do not even know what it feels like to be light anymore. I think that is what I am grieving this morning. Not just the pain, but the loss of what it means to feel free. To wake up without the tension in my chest or the heaviness behind my eyes. To laugh without wondering how long it will last. To sit with someone and not feel the need to pretend. I miss that version of myself, even if I barely remember her. The one who believed good things could last, who trusted without fear, who did not always have to be in control. I want to find her again, but I know I can get there by force. I can just push through this. I have to lay it down. But first I need to name it. So here it is. This weight is made of grief, of the people I loved who are no longer here, of goodbyes that came too soon or not gently enough, of the plans that never happened and the dreams that faded quietly. This weight is made of fear, that if I slow down, everything will catch up to me, that if I stop holding it together, I will fall apart, that if I am honest with others, they will walk away. This weight is made of silence, of the things I never said because I did not think anyone would understand, of the questions I asked in the dark but never dared to voice out loud. Why did they leave? Why was not I enough? Why does healing take so long? You see all of it, even the parts I try to keep from myself, and yet you do not rush me. You do not roll your eyes or turn away. You sit here with me and wait, not for performance but for presence, not for the right words but for the real ones. So today I want to be real. I want to admit that I am tired, not just in my body, but in my soul. Tired of carrying this invisible weight that no one sees. Tired of being praised for how strong I am when all I really want is to be held. Tired of convincing myself that if I just keep moving, I won't break. Father, I am starting to see that what I thought was strength may actually be survival. And I am not ashamed of surviving, but I do not want to live stuck in survival mode. I want more than that. I want to be restored, not just maintained. I want to breathe fully, not just gasp between responsibilities. I want to live open, not guarded. And if that means setting down what I have been carrying, so be it. Even if I do not yet know how to live without it. Even if part of me feels lost without the weight. Even if I have to relearn what it means to walk free. This morning I picture myself standing at the edge of a river. My hands are full, my arms are heavy, and I know that if I want to cross, I cannot take all of this with me. So I begin to let it go, one memory at a time. One expectation. One burden I thought was mine to bear. I do not let go of it all at once, but I begin. That is enough for now. The river will wait. You will wait. But something tells me you are not just on the other side, calling me forward. You are right beside me, helping me lift each stone from my hands and offering to carry it for me. And in that picture I begin to feel something new, not the absence of pain, but the presence of grace. A softness that meets my hardest places. A tenderness that says I do not have to prove anything. A gentle reminder that I was never meant to carry this alone. And if I have carried it so long that I have forgotten what it feels like to be held, then maybe today is the day I remember. Maybe today is the day I begin to feel the arms of mercy wrap around me and whisper that I am safe, that I can put it down, that I can be known not for what I carry, but for who I am. I do not know how to explain this weight to others. I do not always have the words for it, but I know that with you I do not need perfect language. I just need honesty. So here is my honesty. I am weary. I am aching. I am longing for something I cannot fully name. I do not want to numb it anymore. I want to understand it, to sit with it, to heal from it. And if that takes time, I am willing to walk slowly. As long as you walk with me, as long as your voice keeps calling me out of hiding and into the light, let this day be the day I stop pretending. Let this be the morning where I begin to choose lightness, not by escaping, but by releasing. By trusting that you are big enough to hold what is too much for me. That you are kind enough to stay even when I am messy. That you are strong enough to carry what I cannot. I do not ask you to take away the past. I ask you to help me stop reliving it. I ask you to help me live now. Fully, bravely, lightly. I open my heart to you again. A little more than yesterday. A little more willing. A little more aware that this is not just about letting go, but about learning to live differently. To believe that freedom is not only possible, but promised. That healing is not only for some, but for me. That you are not far off, but near. Nearer than the breath I just took. Nearer than the ache in my chest. Near enough to feel the weight I am trying to release. And so I will keep meeting you here each morning, until the weight no longer defines me. Until my heart remembers what it means to be free. Until my soul no longer whispers, help me, but begins to sing, I am healing, I am healing, I am healing. Father, I come to you again this morning, carrying the quiet from yesterday. It still lingers around me like a soft cloud of memory and thought. I am still feeling the echo of the weight I began to release. It did not all disappear, I know that much. But I did notice something in the letting go. Not just space being made inside of me, but something deeper beginning to awaken. A longing not just to be lighter, but to be honest. Yesterday I laid down burdens. Today I want to name them. Not to rehearse the pain, but to recognize it. To finally say aloud what I have only whispered in silence for far too long. Father, this part scares me more than I expected. Because to name something is to admit that it is real. And if it is real, then it has shaped me. If it is real, then I have to face how it still lingers in the corners of my mind and the patterns of my heart. But you already know that. You already see what I have tried to ignore. And still you are here. Still you are listening. That is why I feel safe enough to speak. Because you are not demanding that I be strong. You are inviting me to be honest. And maybe this is what courage looks like. Not shouting or declaring, but simply telling the truth. So here is the truth. I have been hurt. There are words that were said to me that I still carry like thorns under my skin. There are moments I revisit, even when I do not want to. Memories that live just under the surface, ready to rise when I least expect them. I tell myself I have moved on, but my heart still clenches at the sound of certain names or the mention of certain places. I smile when I speak of it, but the H never left. And I know you already see that. You do not need me to pretend that it did not matter. You know it did. You know it still does. There is shame too. Not just over what others have done to me, but what I have done to myself. The way I have silenced my own voice. The way I have minimized my own needs. The way I have stayed in places that drained me because I did not believe I deserved better. I do not say this to punish myself. I say it to bring it into the light, because I am learning that things hidden in the dark grow heavier. But when they are spoken, when they are acknowledged, something breaks. And sometimes breaking is not the worst thing. Sometimes it is the beginning of healing. I need you to help me name these places without being overwhelmed by them. Help me sit in the truth without drowning in it. Help me find language for wounds that have shaped my view of love, trust, and even you. I know you are not afraid of my questions, so I will ask them now, not for answers, but for connection. Where were you when I felt abandoned? Why did not you stop the thing that broke me? How do you still call me beloved when I feel so unworthy? I know these are heavy questions. I do not expect lightning bolts or explanations. I just need to know you hear me. I just need to feel you close when I dare to speak them. Because, Father, what I am realizing, that the pain I do not name does not disappear. It just buries itself deeper. It shows up in how I distance myself from others, in how I expect rejection before connection, in how I guard my heart with a wall of good behavior and polite smiles. But I am tired of living like that. I want to be real with you and with myself. Even if my voice shakes, even if my hands tremble, even if the tears come faster than I can wipe them away. This is how I learn to trust again, one word at a time, one truth at a time. There are names that hurt to say, situations that feel like open wounds. But I say them now not because I want to relive them, but because I want to release them. I say them not to glorify the pain, but to invite you into it. I say them not to stay stuck, but to move forward. And in saying them, I begin to feel less alone. Because you are not distant. You are not waiting for me to have it all figured out. You are here, sitting beside me in the stillness, receiving every word I offer, even the ones I can form with my mouth, but only feel in my chest. Thank you for not rushing me. Thank you for not interrupting me with easy answers. Thank you for not dismissing what others have minimized. I do not want to rush past this part. I want to honor the story I carry, even the painful chapters. Because they matter. Because they are part of how I got here. And maybe, just maybe, they are part of how I will rise from here. I believe you are the God who redeems even the most broken moments. But redemption does not erase the past. It gives it new meaning. And I want to begin that process now. Today, I give you my words. I give you the ones I have never said, and the ones I have said too many times. I give you the silence that wrapped around my pain, and the noise that tried to cover it. I give you the moments I wish could forget, and the ones I fear I never will. I give you the parts of my heart that still flinch at kindness because they are so used to pain. I give you the beliefs have built from trauma, the lies I have accepted as identity. I give you the whole truth, not just the polished parts. And I trust that you will not turn away. Let this be the morning where I stop hiding from what hurt me. Let this be the day where I let honesty take root, even if it feels tender, even if it makes me cry. Let this be the beginning of clarity, the first breath of truth spoken in love. I believe that when I name the pain, I remove its power to define me. I believe that when I speak the truth, you meet me with grace. I believe that honesty is holy, and I want to live a holy life, not one that is perfect, but one that is real. So here I am again, Father, sitting in the stillness with you, naming what was once unspeakable, admitting what was once denied, hoping that in this sacred conversation my heart will begin to shift. I do not need you to rush in and fix everything. I just need you to stay, to be near as I speak, to remind me I am not alone, to hold me when the truth feels too much, and you do. That is who you are. Gentle, present, faithful. So I will keep speaking. I will keep naming. I will keep believing that truth spoken in love always leads to healing. Even when it hurts. Even when it takes time. Even when it starts with nothing more than a whisper. Yesterday I found the courage to speak the names of things I have tried to forget. I laid bare the wounds I once believed needed to stay hidden. And even now, as I return to you in the silence of another morning, I feel the trembling aftershock of that honesty. My chest is still heavy, but something in me feels clearer. As if every truth spoken carved a small opening in a wall I built long ago. And now there it is before me, that old door, the one I have passed 1,000 times, the one I have always felt but never truly faced. This morning I sense you standing near it with me, not demanding that I open it, but gently asking if I am ready, and maybe I am. Father, this door has been shut for so long that it feels like part of the architecture of my life. I have designed my days around it, built my thoughts and responses in ways that protect its presence without ever addressing it. I do not even remember when I first closed it. Maybe it was in a moment of pain, so sharp that shutting the door felt like the only way to survive. Maybe it was when trust was broken and I told myself, never again. Or maybe it was when I realized that certain dreams would not come true and I needed somewhere to bury the H. And now here I stand in front of it again. But this time I am not alone. You are here. And that makes all the difference. I confess that I am afraid. Not of what is behind the door, but of what it will mean to open it. Afraid of how I might feel. Afraid of what it might require of me. Afraid that once the door is open, I want to know how to close it again. But deeper than the fear is a longing to stop living in avoidance, a longing to finally let healing begin, not just in words, but in action. I do not want to keep bypassing the place that still holds sorrow. I do not want to build a life of faith around a room of silence. I want my heart to be whole, not partially surrendered, not selectively trusting. Whole. You are patient with me, and I thank you for that. You have not kicked the door down. You have not demanded access. You have simply waited. And now your presence feels like a hand on my shoulder, steadying me, reminding me that I do not have to be ready in every way. I only need to be willing. I only need to take the step of turning the knob and allowing the air to shift. So here I am, Father, standing with trembling resolve. I do not know what I will find on the other side, but I trust that you will be there too. I trust that you won tea leave when the light hits the dust. I trust that whatever lives in that locked space no longer needs to define me. And so I choose to open it. Let this moment be more than symbolic. Let it be sacred. Let it be the turning point where I stop circling my pain and start walking through it with you. I am not asking you to erase the past. I am asking you to walk into it with me, to help me reclaim the parts of myself I left behind, to sit with me in the echoes and remind me that the story is not over. Let this be the moment where shame begins to loosen its grip and the air inside me becomes breathable again. Let the light in. Let the truth in. Let grace pour over every corner that has not seen hope in a long time. As I open the door, I see memories that sting. I see images that once made me turn away. But I keep looking because now I know I am not looking alone. You are beside me, and your presence is like warmth flooding a cold room. You are not shocked. You are not disappointed. You are simply here, steady, kind, loving, and in that presence I begin to feel safe enough to stay, safe enough to explore what this room holds without running. I see the younger version of myself sitting there unsure and afraid, and I want to reach for her. I want to say what no one said then. You are not too much. You are not forgotten. You are not unlovable. You were never alone. Father, I know there is work to do here, and it will take more than one morning. But today the door is open, and that is not small. That is everything. Today I let the air in. Today I let the light begin to stretch across the floor and kiss the walls that held too much silence. I do not have to fix it all at once. I do not have to organize or explain every part. I just have to stop pretending it is not there. I just have to invite you into the mess and believe you will not walk away. I want to live a life where no room in my heart is off limits to you. I want to live open even if it is vulnerable, even if it is slow. Thank you for being a God who does not flinch. Thank you for not retreating when I show you the parts of me I thought I had to hide. Thank you for being gentle with my process, and yet faithful to call me deeper. You do not demand that I hurry, but you do invite me to move forward. And something in me wants to say yes. Yes to restoration. Yes to wholeness. Yes to a faith that touches every part of my life, not just the polished surface. I do not want to just survive anymore. I want to heal. I want to grow. I want to walk through every room of my heart and know that you have been there too. This door was once a barrier. Now it is a beginning, and beginnings are rarely clean. They are often messy and uncertain and full of feelings that rise when least expected. But beginnings are also sacred. They are the places where hope is born again, where life starts to pulse in forgotten places, where the past meets presence and something new is formed. Let this be that kind of beginning, not loud or dramatic, but real. Quietly holy, quietly brave, quietly full of you. I do not ask for a perfect process. I ask for a faithful one. I ask that you continue walking with me through what this open door reveals. I ask that you help me rest when I grow weary. I ask that you remind me why I started on the days when I want to close the door again. And I ask that you speak truth louder than the voices of fear or shame. I want to believe that what lies ahead is not just pain to revisit, but beauty to rediscover. I want to believe that behind this door is not just sorrow, but a deeper encounter with your love. So I will keep the door open. I will let it stay open even when it is uncomfortable. I will come back here morning after morning and sit with you in the light, because I believe something holy happens when we stop hiding. I believe something begins to heal when we invite you into every place we once believed was beyond hope. I believe you are the kind of father who makes even the darkest room feel like home again. And if that is true, then I will not be afraid to keep walking through this door with you. Father, yesterday I opened the door, and today I find myself standing in the threshold again, not rushing in, but not backing away either. Something inside of me has shifted. The weight is still present, the questions are still echoing, but the fear feels softer somehow, not gone but less sharp. I think it is because I sense you here, not outside waiting for me to fix what is broken, but already inside this forgotten space waiting with open arms. And the more I let myself believe you are not afraid of the mess, the more I begin to breathe a little deeper. This morning I want to walk in, not just in thought, but in trust. I want to see this dusty room not as a place of shame, but as a place where you meet me with kindness. Father, this room has not been touched in years, not physically, of course, but emotionally, spiritually. It is filled with moments I have avoided, memories I have boxed up, hurts I have labeled too complicated. But now that the door is open, I cannot ignore what I see. It is not just sorrow that lives here. It is silence. It is questions I never dared ask, and emotions I did not know how to handle. There are pieces of myself scattered in corners I never had the courage to revisit, and yet as I step in, I do not feel overwhelmed. I feel watched over, as if every breath I take is held in the gentleness of your presence. I see the dust dancing in the morning light that now pours through the window, and I wonder how long it has been since I allowed this part of me to feel sunlight. How long since I invited you here, not to fix it all instantly, but to simply be with me, to sit with me, to bring light into a place that forgot it was ever allowed to shine. And that is what this feels like now, like something sacred awakening, like the realization that you do not demand I be whole before you enter. You enter so I can be whole again. There are journals on the shelves of this room, not literal ones, but heart journals filled with the words I never said, the hopes I buried, the prayers I whispered when I thought no one was listening. I can feel them now. I can hear the echoes of my own voice from years ago, asking if healing was even possible, wondering if love could truly find me here. I used to think you only stayed in the cleaner parts of my heart, but now I see you have been waiting in this room the whole time. Patient, steady, willing, not forcing your way in, but always ready when I finally chose to come back. What surprises me most is how peaceful this room becomes the moment I acknowledge it without fear. The memories do not vanish, but they lose their power. The shadows grow shorter in the light. The silence starts to soften into a place of reflection, not repression. And as I look around, I do not feel shame. I feel tenderness. Not everything here is ugly. There are pieces of beauty too. Pieces of who I was before the pain changed me. Pieces of dreams that may still have life in them. Pieces of myself I thought I had lost for good. Father, help me not to rush past this moment. Help me not to treat this like a task to complete, but a space to inhabit with you. I want to explore every part not with fear, but with faith. I want to learn to sit in discomfort without letting it define me. I want to hear what this part of my heart still needs to say. And I want to listen knowing you are listening too. Not judging, not fixing, not correcting, but simply being near. And in your nearness I begin to trust again. Not just you, but myself. My process. My healing. My voice. I pick up one of those heart journals now, and I let the pages turn. Some entries are full of grief. Others are soaked in questions. Some are just blank, because I could not find the words back then. But now I see that every page matters. Every moment matters. And nothing was wasted. Not even the silence. Because if it led me back here, to this room, to this moment, with you then, it is part of the story you are writing, and I do not want to skip any more chapters. I want to read them all with you by my side. I see a small chair in the corner, as if waiting for someone to sit. And so I do. I sit and I let myself be still. No striving, no fixing, no hiding. Just stillness. Just breath. Just presence. I have avoided this stillness because I thought it would crush me, but now I see it holds me. Because you hold me, you always have, even when I ran, even when I built walls, even when I forgot how to feel. You stayed. Not because you had to, but because that is who you are. A father who does not abandon. A healer who steps into the wound, not away from it. Let this room become a sanctuary, not a prison. Let the light in here be a symbol of what you are doing inside me. Let the dust be a reminder not of neglect, but of time, and how you are not limited by it. You do not despise the places that have grown still. You breathe into them. You speak over them. You resurrect them. And I want that. I want this room to be filled with your presence, not just for today, but for always. Not just when I am praying, but when I am working or resting or loving or trying again. I want every space in me to be touched by your light. Thank you for meeting me here, Father. Thank you for not rushing me out of this space. Thank you for reminding me that even the forgotten rooms in my heart matter to you, that nothing is too small or too old or too broken for your love. I may not know what comes next, but I know I am not walking alone. And that is enough, more than enough. So I will keep showing up. I will keep stepping in. I will keep letting you sit with me here until this room becomes familiar again, not as a place of pain, but as a place of peace. I will keep inviting you into the places I once shut tight. Because if you are willing to dwell in the dust, then I am willing to meet you there. If you are willing to call this holy ground, then I will remove my shoes and stay a while. If you are willing to love me here, then I will begin to love myself here too. Maybe for the first time in a long time. And maybe, just maybe, that is where the real healing begins. Father, you were there yesterday when I sat in the dusty room and let the light touch what I had hidden for so long. And even now, as I return to you with another morning, ice breath, I feel something stirring deeper than before. I did not expect it to feel like this. I thought opening that room would bring panic or grief so heavy I would have to turn away again. But what surprised me most was not the memory or the silence. It was the way my tears began to fall without permission. Not because I was overwhelmed, but because something in me finally felt safe enough to let go. I did not hold them back. I could not. And for the first time in a long time, that felt like a holy release. Father, these tears feel different. Not like weakness, not like falling apart, but like water finding its way through dry soil. They did not come with loud sobs or desperation. They came quietly, steadily, and I let them fall without apology. Maybe that is what this season is about. Not fixing everything at once, but allowing room for the soul to breathe again. And maybe tears are part of that breathing. Maybe they are prayers too. Maybe each one carries something I could never say out loud. A confession. A memory. A longing. A healing. I used to think tears were something to be hidden. A sign that I was not strong enough, that I was being too sensitive. I learned to wipe them quickly, to swallow them before they showed. I have cried in cars behind closed doors, into pillows in dark rooms. But I never really brought those tears to you. Not like this. I did not know I could. I did not know you would welcome them. But now I see you do. You always have. You do not just tolerate tears. You treasure them. You hold them like precious offerings, poured from a breaking heart. And in that knowing, something inside me begins to soften again. These tears have a language, one I can always interpret. But you understand. You understand what each drop means. You understand the sorrow behind them, the longing inside them, the release within them. I believe now that every time I let myself feel and cry in your presence, I am surrendering more than sadness. I am offering truth. I am admitting that something hurts enough to be honored, not ignored. That something matters enough to be mourned. And in that mourning, you meet me not with correction, but with comfort. There are tears for the things I lost, for the people I miss, for the moments I wish I could relive or rewrite. There are tears for the words I never got to say, for the times I stayed quiet when I should have spoken, for the chances I did not take and the grace I refused to receive. There are also tears for the healing that is starting, for the light that is breaking through, for the simple beauty of feeling again, even when it is painful, even when it is raw, because it reminds me that my heart is still alive, still beating, still capable of more than just surviving. Father, there is something sacred about the way you sit with me while I cry. You do not rush to wipe away my tears. You let them fall. You let them do their work. You let them be part of the restoration. And I begin to understand, sometimes healing does not sound like clarity. It sounds like quiet sobs in the morning. It sounds like breath catching in the chest. It sounds like whispered words I did not think I had the courage to speak. And you receive it all. You welcome the emotion, the trembling, the mess. You call it holy. Let this be a space where I learn to cry without shame. Let this be the season where I stop apologizing for my pain. Let this be the chapter where I let my heart tell the truth without having to explain it. Because I am starting to believe that truth held in tears is just as powerful as truth spoken in words. I am starting to believe that tears can soften even the hardest places. They can break down walls that fear built. They can water the soil of my soul where something new might grow. Thank you for making space for all of me, not just the steady, calm, collected parts, but the overwhelmed, grieving, questioning parts too. I do not want to live a life that is polished but numb. I want to live a life that feels real. And real sometimes looks like eyes swollen from crying, hands shaking from release, shoulders low with surrender. And yet in all of that I find you more present than ever. You are the God who kneels beside the weeping, the God who does not flinch at raw emotion, the God who leans close when I can't hold it in any longer. This morning I do not come with answers. I come with damp cheeks and open hands. I come with a soul that is slowly unclenching. I come with a heart that has cried and is still willing to cry again, if that is what it takes to be healed. I do not want to pretend I am okay when I am not. I do not want to perform strength when what I need is grace. I want to trust that these tears are doing something eternal, that they are washing away the residue of bitterness and fear, that they are making way for joy I have not yet known. Maybe that is why you said those who mourn will be comforted, not because mourning is easy, but because it is honest, because it opens a door for you to come close in ways joy cannot, because it shows that I am still connected to love, still hoping, still willing to feel. And I think that is the real miracle. That even after all the guarding and numbing and hiding, my heart still wants to feel. It still believes in something more. And that belief is what keeps me praying. Even through tears, even in quiet. Let these tears today be more than emotion. Let them be release. Let them be trust. Let them be worship in its most vulnerable form. Let them carry away the lies I have believed and leave behind the truth of your nearness. Let them soften me where I have been hard and steady me where I have been fragile. Let them remind me that I do not have to hold it all together to be loved by you. I just have to let myself be held. So I will not resist the tears anymore. I will not question them or hide them. I will welcome them as part of the journey. I will believe they are part of the healing. I will sit with you here in this quiet space with tear-stained cheeks and an open heart. Because if you are here in my crying, then I am not alone. And if I am not alone, then I am safe. And if I am safe, then I can keep going. One morning at a time. One breath at a time. One honest tear at a time. Father, yesterday I cried in your presence without hiding, without holding back, and something within me shifted. The tears did not solve everything, but they softened the ground. They cleared a little more space for honesty, and now that the waters have settled, I can feel the next invitation rising in my heart. It is quiet but steady, like a whisper I can no longer ignore. It is forgiveness. That word carries a weight of its own. I have danced around it for a long time, saying I was not ready, or that I would deal with it later. But now, with this space inside me more open, I sense you asking gently if I am willing to take that first step. And even though it scares me, I want to say yes. Father, you know every detail of what was done to me. You saw the moments that no one else did. You heard the words that cut deep, and you felt the silence that followed when I was left to pick up the pieces alone. You know how long I have carried it, not always on the surface, but deep within, buried beneath strength and survival. I have told myself that forgiveness meant pretending it did not hurt or excusing what happened. I have told myself that letting go would mean losing my voice or giving away my power. But now I hear you saying something different. You are telling me that forgiveness is not forgetting. It is not approval. It is freedom. And so today I stand in this sacred place ready to begin. I do not know how far I will get, but I know it starts with a willingness. A simple choice to stop gripping the offense so tightly, to stop feeding the bitterness that quietly poisons my peace, to stop rehearsing the pain like a story that defines who I am, because I do not want to be defined by what broke me. I want to be defined by what healed me. I want my identity to be rooted in love, not in wounding. And if forgiveness is part of that healing, then help me, Father. Help me step forward. I admit it is hard. There is a part of me that still wants justice, that still wants someone to feel what I felt, that still believes forgiveness lets them off the hook. But I also see now that holding on to this pain has not protected me. It has only chained me to the past. And the one who hurt me does not carry that weight. I do. I am the one who wakes up with it, sleeps with it, builds walls because of it. And maybe that is why you invite me into forgiveness, not to forget, but to be free. So I name the wound. I name the person. Even if my voice shakes, even if my stomach turns, I bring it into the light where you already stand. I speak it not to reopen it, but to stop denying it. And I ask you to meet me here in this raw, vulnerable place where I choose to begin again. I do not have to feel ready. I just have to be honest. And my honesty says I am tired of carrying this pain. I am tired of pretending it does not affect me. I am tired of smiling on the outside while still bleeding on the inside. I want to be whole, and I know I can be whole while holding on to hate. Father, teach me what it means to forgive. Not with conditions, not with timelines, but with courage. Show me that forgiveness is a gift I give to myself as much as it is an act of release. Help me separate the offense from my identity. Help me see that I can forgive and still protect my heart. That I can release and still have boundaries. That I can love without letting myself be harmed again. You are not asking me to trust blindly or forget completely. You are asking me to let you carry the weight of justice so I can carry peace. I breathe deep and I picture myself loosening my grip. Not all at once, but finger by finger, thought by thought, memory by memory. I picture myself handing over what I have been holding on to for so long. The anger, the disappointment, the betrayal, the unanswered questions. I lay them down before you. I do not know what will happen next, but I know this is the first crack in the wall. This is the first break in the pattern. This is the moment I choose healing over resentment, wholeness over hardness, you over control. I want to make room for joy again, for peace that does not flinch, for relationships that are not filtered through old wounds. I want to smile and mean it, laugh and feel it, trust and not brace for pain. And I believe forgiveness is the path to that kind of freedom, even if it takes time, even if it is messy, even if I have to keep choosing it over and over again. I know you will walk with me through every step, and that gives me courage. I am not doing this alone. And Father, there is something else too, something I did not expect. As I open my heart to forgive others, I feel you gently asking if I am willing to forgive myself. That is harder in some ways, because I know every mistake I have made, every moment I stayed silent, every way I let fear lead me instead of faith. And yet you are here with eyes full of love, not condemnation. You are not keeping score. You are not rubbing my face in it. You are asking me to release the shame I have kept hidden, to stop punishing myself for things you already forgave. So I say it aloud. I forgive myself for the ways I have missed the mark, for the choices I regret, for the time I lost to fear, for the walls I built out of self-protection, for the love I did not receive because I did not think I deserved it. I forgive myself, not because I have earned it, but because you have already extended it. And if you can love me through it all, then who am I to withhold that same grace? Let this be the morning forgiveness begins. Let this be the day where bitterness starts to lose its grip and freedom starts to take its place. Let this be the sacred shift where the past no longer writes my present. Peace becomes my posture, and grace becomes my rhythm. I know it won't all change overnight. I know there may be moments when the pain resurfaces and the resentment whispers again. But I also know that every time I choose to forgive, I am choosing you. And I am choosing to live. Thank you for being the God who forgives without measure, who does not wait for perfect apologies or polished prayers. Thank you for showing me that forgiveness is not weakness but strength. Not giving up but letting go. Not losing but finally winning back my heart. I want to keep walking this path. I want to keep choosing love. I want to keep saying yes to the freedom that you offer me every morning. And today that yes looks like forgiveness. Imperfect but honest. Quiet but brave. Small but holy. And it is enough for now. It is enough to begin. Yesterday I said yes to forgiveness, not because it was easy, but because I knew I could not move forward without it. That quiet surrender opened something in me, something sacred that I did not fully expect. But now as I sit with you again, in the stillness, new morning, I can feel another layer rising to the surface. A part of me that is still clinging to the idea of fairness, still holding tight to the need for justice. I realize that forgiveness does not erase the longing for things to be made right. And so today I bring you this deeper the H for justice and the fear that, if I release it, I will lose something important. But you are the God who sees all, and this morning, I need to trust that more than ever. Father, I know you are not blind to what happened. I know you did not miss the moments that hurt me or the times I was wronged. You were there for every unspoken apology, every wound that was never acknowledged, every betrayal that left me silently bleeding. You witnessed it all, and you did not ignore it. That matters to me more than I can explain. Because sometimes what holds me back from fully letting go is not the pain itself, but the fear that if I do, no one will ever recognize what it cost me. But you know, and more than that, you care. I want to believe that giving you the need for justice is not giving up on it. It is placing it into better hands. My hands were never meant to carry that weight. My heart was not designed to balance the scales, and when I try, I become consumed with anger and bitterness, and a longing for revenge that eats away at the peace I am trying to build. But you, Father, you are righteous. You are holy. You see with perfect clarity. You judge with wisdom untouched by ego or emotion. So I bring you my need to be vindicated, not because I demand punishment for anyone, but because I long for resolution. And I trust that you know what that should look like far better than I do. There is a part of me that wants to hold on just a little longer, that still whispers, I deserve to be angry. That still says, if I let it go, I am letting them win. But deeper than that pride is a tired soul. A soul that has been carrying a courtroom in its chest for too long, trying to be the judge, the jury, the protector, and the prisoner all at once. And I can't do it anymore. I do not want to do it anymore. I want to walk out of that courtroom and into your presence. I want to trade the gavel for grace and the verdict for healing. You remind me that justice is not always about punishment. Sometimes it is about restoration. Sometimes it is about peace. Sometimes it is about letting what was broken be touched by mercy instead of wrath. I still want what is right to be honored. I still want truth to matter. But I no longer want to tie my freedom to someone else's reckoning. I want to be free now, not someday. I want to stop waiting for closure that may never come and start living in the release that you offer today. That is the kind of justice I long for, the kind that restores my soul, if it does not settle every score. Father, teach me how to hand it over, not because I am weak, but because I am wise enough now to know I was never meant to carry it alone. Teach me how to walk away from the battles you never asked me to fight. Teach me how to trust that you will make all things right in your time, in your way, even if I never get to see it with my own eyes. That trust feels risky, but I know it is holy. And I want to live a holy life, not a bitter one. Show me how to pray for those who hurt me, not because they deserve it, but because I need it. Because I do not want resentment to take root in me. I do not want to carry around a heart hardened by justice delayed. I want to carry a heart softened by grace, even if it still aches, even if it still remembers. Help me release not just the offense, but the need to see it repaid. Help me breathe in peace even when questions remain unanswered. Help me believe that you are working even in silence, even in mystery, even when nothing seems to change. And Father, if I am honest, I need to ask for your help, not just in surrendering judgment to you, but in trusting that you care enough to act, that you want to ignore what matters to me, that you want to just tell me to move on and forget. I need to believe that you are a God of compassion and also of justice, that you do not turn a blind eye to evil, that you do not minimize harm, that you hold every tear and remember every cry, that you are not absent, but deeply present in every place where justice feels delayed. Help me rest in that. Let this be the morning I stop looking backward, waiting for someone else to make it right. Let this be the day I stop believing that healing depends on what another person chooses to do. Let this be the moment I hand you the full weight of it all and say, I trust you. Even if nothing changes on the outside, let something change inside me. Let peace take the place of anger. Let surrender quiet the need for revenge. Let grace interrupt the cycle of pain. Thank you for being a God who can be trusted with justice. Thank you for reminding me that forgiveness and justice are not opposites, but different parts of the same redemption. Thank you for being near not just in my healing, but in my hurt. Not just in the light, but in the courtroom of my thoughts. Thank you for sitting with me when I could not let go, and for walking with me now, that I am ready to try. I do not expect this to be easy. There may be moments when I feel it all again, when the anger rises, when the memories flash like fire in my mind. But in those moments remind me that I have a choice. I can return to bitterness or I can return to you. And I want to return to you. Every time. Every morning. Every every silent cry. I want you to be the one who holds the final word. Not them. Not me. You. So here it is, Father, my need to see justice, my desire to feel seen and heard and valued, my fear that if I let it go, no one else will care. I give it to you now, not because I no longer care, but because I care too much to keep being ruled by it. I lay it at your feet and I choose peace. I choose to trust that you are good and just and always working. Even when I do not understand, even when it hurts, even when I have to surrender again and again, I will keep returning to the place of release because that is where I find you and where I find myself again, free, whole, unchained, yours. Yesterday I gave you my longing for justice. I laid down the courtroom I had carried inside me for too long, and I let you be the judge. That surrender did not make everything feel simple, but did bring something I had not expected. Clarity, as if handing you that burden cleared a space in me to begin seeing myself differently. For so long I have been viewing my life through the lens of what was done to me, through hurt and betrayal and disappointment. But this morning as I come before you again, I feel you inviting me into something deeper, something bolder, a truth I have struggled to believe, that I am not only what I have been through, I am more than a victim. Father, this is hard to say because pain has a way of writing itself into our identity. After a while, the sorrow becomes familiar. The labels settle in like furniture we never moved. I have carried names that were not mine, names born from trauma, from rejection, from moments I did not choose. I have said things about myself in silence that I would never let someone else say out loud. I have looked in the mirror and seen someone stained, not someone chosen. But I am tired of that reflection. I am ready to see myself as you do. Not through the lens of the wound, but through the lens of your love. You never called me broken beyond repair. You never named me weak because I cried or distant because I doubted. You never saw my scars as stains. You saw them as stories, as evidence of survival and strength and your sustaining grace. I have lived too long allowing what hurt me to shape who I believe I am. But you are peeling that lie away gently, firmly, and with so much mercy. You are speaking a new identity over me, one that does not deny what I have lived through, but also does not stop there. You are saying I am not stuck in that chapter. I am still being written. Help me, Father, to let go of the idea that I will always be someone recovering. I do not want to make my home in the identity of the wounded. I want to rise in the identity of the healed. That does not mean I forget where I have been. It means I stop living as if that is the only place I will ever know. I want to move forward not as someone barely surviving, but as someone who walks with strength because she remembers who sustained her. I want to carry peace where I once carried pain, hope where I once held fear, confidence where there was once only shame. There are still voices that whisper the old names. They tell me I am too damaged, too fragile, too far behind. But your voice is louder when I choose to listen. And you call me beloved. You call me whole. You call me chosen and renewed and worthy of more. And I want to believe you more than I believe the past. I want to believe that I am not defined by what was taken, but what you are restoring. I want to believe that even now I am being rebuilt stronger, not in spite of the pain, but because you are redeeming it. I do not want to keep rehearsing the story of the one who was left behind. I want to tell the story of the one who got back up, the one who looked grief in the face and still chose love, the one who let go of bitterness to make room for joy, the one who opened the door to the locked places and found you waiting there. That is who I want to be. Not just the one who remembers the wound, but the one who carries the healing. Not just the one who was hurt, but the one who became whole again. That is the story I want to live. Father, help me remove the labels I never asked for, the ones that shame put on me, the ones that fear tried to convince me were true, the ones that grief etched into my spirit. I take them off one by one, and I hand them to you. Every name that said not enough, every label that whispered too late, every mark that tried to shrink who I am. I give them up because they never came from you, and I ask you to remind me who I have always been in your eyes. A child, a creation, a testimony, a miracle in progress. I will not let what hurt me become the definition of my future. I will not let pain take the pen from your hands. I will not let despair write the ending of a story you are still shaping. There is still more in me, still more days to come, still more beauty to discover, still more peace to carry. And I want all of it. I want to wake up every morning not bracing for more pain, but leaning into new purpose. I want to look in the mirror and see not what I have lost, but what I have gained through grace. Let this be the morning I rise into a fuller version of myself. Let this be the day I shake off what no longer belongs to me. Let this be the moment I agree with you about who I am, not with fear, not with the past, not with what others chose to see. You call me whole, and I want to walk in that wholeness, even if it is still growing, even if it still trembles, even if some days I have to speak it out loud until I believe it again. And Father, I know there are others like me who are still living under the weight of false names, who still believe they are only what was done to them. Help me be a light to them, not with perfection, but with honesty. Let my life say you can rise, you can forgive, you can be free. Not because the pain did not happen, but because the story did not stop there. Let the way I walk speak louder than my words. Let the way I live be a quiet revolution against everything that once tried to destroy me. Thank you for never seeing me as too far gone. Thank you for reminding me that the ashes can still hold seeds, that the cracks still let the light come through, that what looked like the end was really a turning point. I do not have to carry the title of victim any longer. I get to carry your name. I get to walk in your truth. I get to rise not as someone barely holding on, but as someone held by you. So here I am, Father, stepping into this new identity, not fully there, but fully willing. Not always fearless, but no longer frozen. Not waiting for someone else to validate my healing. I claim it now in your presence. I say it quietly but clearly. I am not what broke me. I am not what I lost. I am not what others failed to see. I am more. I am loved. I am healing. I am yours. And that is more than enough to begin again. Father, you know how much courage it took for me to say I am yours, to whisper those words without hesitation, to not flinch when the old memories tried to interrupt. But this morning, Father, as I return to you once again, I bring something fragile, something I have hidden deep inside the layers of healing. I bring my trust, and even now, I can feel the hesitation in my chest. Not because you are not trustworthy, because trusting again feels like standing with Immerse in a world that once taught me to never let my guard down. Still, Father, I want to hand you the pieces. I want to learn how to trust again. Because yesterday, when I declared that I am more than what broke me, I felt the freedom of stepping out of the shadows, but I also realized how often I keep my distance from good things, afraid they will vanish without warning. It is not that I do not believe in your goodness. It is that I have been conditioned to flinch when things go well, to scan the horizon for storms, to brace myself for loss before joy has even fully arrived. And I do not want to live that way anymore. I do not want to expect disappointment as my constant companion. I want to expect grace. I want to rest in the gentle truth that you are not just my rescuer, but my keeper. So here I am again, Father, with trembling hands and an open heart. I am asking you to help me rebuild trust not just in you, but in life, in people, and in the quiet possibility that not everything will end in heartbreak. I want to believe that there is goodness that stays, that there are safe hands other than yours, shaped by yours, that there are moments not meant to be snatched away. And I want to live from that trust, not just wish for it. I want it to be the ground I walk on, not the dream I keep on the shelf. Father, you know every reason I flinch, every time trust was offered and broken, every promise that dissolved, every foundation that cracked under the weight of betrayal. You saw me holding my breath, waiting for the people I loved to change, to stay, to mean what they said. And when they did not, you held the pieces they left behind. So you, above all, understand why trust feels costly. And yet, you never stopped calling me closer. You never forced yourself into the guarded places. You waited, always with kindness, never with pressure. And now, Father, you are teaching me something radical, that trust is not blind. It is rooted in relationship. It is not about ignoring the past, but choosing not to let it govern the future. It is not about pretending people never failed me, but about believing that their failure does not define my destiny. It is about leaning into your presence even when I am unsure of the outcome. It is about letting my heart soften again, even if I once swore it never would. I used to think trust meant being naive, that it required me to ignore my instincts or silence my fear. But you are showing me that trust is actually brave, is brave to open my hands again. It is brave to believe again. It is brave to hope again when everything in me screams that it is safer to shut down. But I do not want a safe life if it is a life without love. I do not want a guarded heart if it keeps out your mercy. I would rather risk and fall into your arms than stay standing on cold ground. So today, Father, I give you my weary trust. I give you my questions, my doubts, my instincts shaped by old pain. I give you the part of me that still watches the door, afraid someone will leave. And I ask you to be patient as I relearn how to stay, how to believe that not everyone will turn away, that not every blessing will be taken, that not every silence means rejection, that not every delay is a punishment. I ask you to shape my expectations by your goodness, not by my history. Help me to trust the slow work you are doing in me. Help me to trust the timing even when I do not understand it. Help me to trust the people you have placed in my life without expecting them to fail. Help me to trust myself again, to know that I am not weak because I want connection, not foolish because I long for closeness, not broken because I need support. And help me trust that even when I mess up, you will not withdraw love. You do not hold your heart hostage. You do not abandon at the first sign of weakness. You are steady. You are kind. You are not like them. Father, I want to build a life where trust is not the exception, where joy is not met with suspicion, where I can let love in without fearing it will cost me everything. I want to sit at tables without analyzing every word. I want to receive affection without translating it into a trap. I want to rest without rehearsing every possible loss. I want peace not as a moment, but as a home. Let trust become my language again. Let it rise in my voice and be heard in the quiet way I stay when things get hard. Let it echo in the choices I make, the conversations I allow, the boundaries I honor, the chances I take. Let it become the backdrop to my healing, the melody that plays beneath the surface, not because I am sure of every outcome, but because I am sure of you. And when the old fear returns, as I know it will, help me pause and choose to believe differently. Help me remember that I do not walk alone, that even if the world disappoints me again, you are still constant, that I am not risking everything, I am building something. And that is what trust is. Father, it is the slow, sacred building of something beautiful. It is the brick laid in faith, the wall raised in hope, the room prepared for joy. Thank you for not rushing me. Thank you for not mocking my hesitation. Thank you for sitting with me in every question until I could speak again. Thank you for never being offended by my fear. And thank you for whispering through the doubt. I am still here. Those 3 words, more than anything, are what allow me to breathe deeper and step forward, not with full certainty, but with full surrender. This is not the end of my fear, Father, but it is the beginning of my trust. And beginnings, though fragile, are sacred. I will hold this beginning gently, knowing you hold me. I will let it grow in the safety of your presence, and with each breath, each choice, each soft yes to life, I will keep learning, not to guard my heart, but to open it, not to defend myself, but to be myself, not to survive, but to love again. Because you have made me safe, because you are trustworthy, because you are my Father, and because of you, I can begin again. Father, I know you are near, even in the quiet, even when my thoughts are racing ahead, trying to reach what has not happened yet or revisit what I can't change. But this morning, I come to you not with a list of requests, but with a longing one I can finally name. I want to be here, fully here, with you, in this moment, not drifting to the past, not fast forwarding into the unknown, but simply staying present in the space you have already filled with grace. Yesterday, I handed you my trust. It felt like placing a trembling bird into your hand and watching it rest instead of flee. And in that rest, I found something surprising, a quiet awareness, a stillness that whispered, "This moment is safe." And that realization awakened something new in me, a desire not just to heal from what was or hope for what might be, but to honor what is, right here, right now, with you. Father, I have spent so much of my life trying to outrun pain and chase joy. I have lived in future scenarios, rehearsing conversations, calculating risks, trying to protect myself from the unknown. And I have also wandered through the past, reliving decisions, analyzing every turn, searching for answers to soothe the regrets. But none of that has ever truly brought peace. Peace, I am learning, lives in presence. Peace is not found in controlling what is ahead or fixing what is behind. Peace is found in staying with you now. You are not only the God of my tomorrows. You are the God of my now. You do not wait for me at some distant destination of success or spiritual maturity. You are not limited to the highlight reels or the major milestones. You are in the mundane, in the morning breath, in the slow cup of coffee, in the quiet sigh that escapes when no one is looking. You are in this moment, and you are enough for this moment. So I choose, Father, to be present, even if I am still unsure, even if nothing around me has changed, even if my heart is still fragile from yesterday's tears. I choose to be here with my thoughts, my emotions, my body, and my breath, and I ask you to meet me here in the fullness of now. I will not apologize for how I feel today. I will not rush past discomfort to prove I am okay. I will let you be God here, in the honesty of the present moment. Help me to notice what I usually miss. The way the light touches the wall, the sound of the wind in the trees, the taste of breakfast, the weight of my feet on the floor. Let these small details become sacred reminders that I am alive and held. Let me remember that the ordinary is not a punishment, it is a gift. And you are present in the small things, because you are not small. You are vast enough to fill the smallest details with meaning. Father, teach me how to slow down, not just with my schedule, but with my spirit. Teach me how to sit without performing, how to pray without rushing, how to breathe without guilt. Teach me how to be, not just do. Let my soul learn the rhythm of stillness. Let my heart grow comfortable with silence. Let my mind stop searching for what is next and simply sink into what is. I do not want to miss the life you are giving me today, because I am too busy anticipating the life I hope to live tomorrow. You know how easily I drift, how quickly I open my phone before I open my heart, how often I scroll instead of seek, how I have trained my attention to scatter instead of settle. But I do not want to keep feeding my distractions. I want to build a sanctuary of presence within me, a space where I can return anytime, knowing you are there. No performance required, no preparation needed, just the honest me, sitting with the eternal you. Let this be the day I stop waiting for perfect circumstances before I show up fully. Let this be the day I stop saying, I will feel better when, or I will be whole once. Let this be the day I believe that presence is the doorway to healing, not when I am stronger, but while I am still healing, not when the chaos ends, but right in the middle of it. Because if you are in the moment, then the moment is holy. And if the moment is holy, then I am safe here. Help me not to numb the H with constant motion. Help me not to run from what feels unfinished. Help me to see that even in the uncertainty, your presence is a certainty. That even in what I do not understand, your nearness is something I can lean into, that I do not need all the answers to belong fully to this day. I only need the awareness that you are here. Father, I surrender the noise, the overthinking, the planning, the resistance. I lay it down so I can pick up peace. I surrender the urge to fix, the pressure to perform, the shame that whispers I am falling behind. Let me look around at this moment and say, this is enough, not because it is perfect, but because it is honest. And honesty is where your love meets me again and again. Let presence become my practice. Let it shape my conversations. Let it anchor my decisions. Let it guide the way I love others. Let it soften the sharp edges of my ambition. Let it remind me that I am not what I produce or prove. I am a person held by grace, moment by moment. I am not behind. I am not too late. I am exactly where I need to be to meet you today. Thank you for never rushing me, for not pulling me forward into a future I am not ready for not dragging me back into a past that no longer defines me. Thank you for sitting with me here, in the now, reminding me that I am enough because you are enough. And together, we can face this day not with fear, but with presence. So here I am. Father, no agenda, no performance, Just presence, yours and mine, woven together in the mystery of grace. I will stay here as long as it takes, until the noise fades and all I can hear is the sound of your heartbeat calling me home to now. Father, even now, as I sit in this moment of presence, I feel how tightly my hands still cling to the illusion of control. You and I both know that I have walked through many mornings trying to manage outcomes, people, timing, and even my emotions as if they were levers I could adjust to guarantee peace. But peace was never mine to manufacture. It is yours to give and mine to receive. When I let go, the stillness I found with you yesterday has revealed a deeper truth today, that even in presence, even in quiet surrender, there is a corner of my heart that fears what will happen if I stop holding everything together. What if the future unravels without my effort? What if letting go does not lead to freedom, but chaos? These are the silent worries I bring into this morning, not to hide them, but to place them honestly before you. I have lived many days thinking that control was protection, that if I plan well enough, anticipate far enough, and prepare thoroughly enough, I can avoid disappointment. But I am beginning to see that this mindset has not protected me. It has imprisoned me, because every plan becomes a burden, every detail a responsibility, and every unexpected change a threat to my inner peace. And that is not the life you have invited me into. You are not asking me to orchestrate my life into perfection. You are asking me to trust that you are the orchestrator of all things. You hold what I cannot hold. You see what I cannot see. You redeem what I cannot repair. My need to control is often just a cover for my lack of trust. And today, I do not want to like that anymore. I want to breathe deeply and believe that your wisdom is greater than my strategies, and your timing is better than my deadlines. Father, help me release my grip, gently, but fully, on the outcomes I have been striving toward, on the relationships I have tried to manage, on the identity I have worked so hard to uphold, on the fear of failure, on the pressure to prove, on the idea that I must earn my worth by always getting things right. None of these things reflect the truth of who I am in you. Let me no longer fear uncertainty. Let me see it as the sacred space where your mystery unfolds. You have never asked me to understand everything, only to follow. And following you means walking by faith, not sight, not knowing how the story ends, but knowing the author, not controlling every scene, but trusting that you are present in each one. Father, I surrender the stories I have written in my head about how life should look, the timelines I have crafted, the expectations I have clung to, the outcomes I have idolized. I give them back to you now, not because I no longer care, but because I now believe you care even more. Your love is not indifferent to my dreams, but it is not dependent on them either. You are good even when my plans do not unfold the way I hoped. Help me accept that I will never be in control of everything, and that is okay. I do not have to be, because I am held by the one who is not shaken by shifting circumstances, the one who never scrambles for a backup plan, the one who has always seen the full picture, even when I can only see a single frame. If you are not worried, I do not need to be either. Let today be the day I stop exhausting myself trying to fix what is not mine to fix. Let today be the day I stop replaying every conversation in my mind, wondering if I said enough or too much. Let today be the day I stop micromanaging my joy, waiting for all the variables to align before I allow myself to breathe. I choose now. I choose to breathe now, to rest now, to let go now, because you are already here, already working, already holding what I cannot. Father, I confess that control has often been my way of coping, a way of shielding myself from the unknown. But it has also been a thief. It has robbed me of joy, of spontaneity, of trust, of connection. It has made me afraid of change and suspicious of grace. But your perfect love casts out fear. Your love is not afraid of what I might lose. Your love is confident in what I will gain when I finally let go. I do not want to live with clenched fists. I want open hands, hands that bless, not grasp, hands that give, not hoard, hands that receive, not manipulate. And open hands begin with an open heart, a heart that says, "You are God, and I am not. You are in control, and I choose to rest in that truth." So when anxiety comes knocking today, remind me that it is not my responsibility to control every outcome. When fear rises up, remind me that I do not need to hold the whole world together. When I am tempted to force something to happen, remind me that forcing is not faith. Faith waits. Faith breathes. Faith releases. And faith walks with you, not ahead of you. Let me be content in the slow unfolding. Let me find comfort in unanswered prayers, knowing they are not ignored, but timed with eternity in mind. Let me see setbacks as sacred pauses. Let me see doors that close as mercy in disguise. Let me learn to say, I do not know what is next, but I know who goes with me. That is enough for me today. Thank you, Father, for not requiring me to carry the weight of control. Thank you for being patient with me when I try. Thank you for gently showing me that surrender is not weakness, but worship. That letting go is not giving up, but giving back. That trusting you is not passive, it is powerful. So here I am, with open hands, not because everything makes sense, but because I believe you make all things beautiful in time. Not because I have figured out how to surrender perfectly, but because I am willing to start again today. You are worthy of my trust, even when I am scared. You are worthy of my surrender, even when the outcome is unknown. You are worthy of my whole heart, even the parts that still wrestle. I choose to release, to rest, to remember. You are God, and you are good, and that is enough to carry me through this day. Even as I continue from the hush of yesterday's prayers, my soul leans into you with renewed yearning. The steady rhythm of your word, like a soft but unwavering stream, continues to cleanse and shape the contours of my restless thoughts. In the silence between the echoes of my own voice, I hear the whisper of your truth, gently unraveling the noise within me. There is something sacred in how your voice does not shout, does not clamor, does not course, yet it commands the deepest corners of my spirit to respond. And so this morning, I sit again before you, not to ask for signs or wonders, but simply to remain under the quiet weight of your word that speaks into who I am becoming. Your truth does not change, while the seasons outside dance in their cycles of birth and decay. Your word stands like an ancient oak, unmoved by wind or time. And still, Father, it is not cold or distant. It is alive. It pulses with presence. It adapts not by changing form, but by piercing through the shifting layers of who I am. Always reaching the core, always finding me. You do not speak for show. You speak to anchor. You speak to realign. You speak to rescue. There have been days when I opened your scriptures with duty, but not desire. Times when the verses blurred into obligation rather than invitation. And yet even in my indifference, your spirit was patient, like rain falling on dry ground, again and again, until even cracked soil cannot help but soften. That is the miracle of your word. It does not retreat when I resist. It waits. It waits until my pride is tired, my anxiety exposed, and my defenses fall into silence. And when I am finally still, there you are, unchanged, unmoved, quietly waiting to speak again. This morning, I do not rush past the words. I do not skim for comfort. I linger. I breathe. I let the syllables sink beneath skin deep understanding and reach the marrow where transformation begins. For you are not only a God who saves, you are a God who speaks, a God who calls each one of us by name. And your voice, O Father, is not just for instruction, it is for restoration. It is not meant to merely inform me. It is meant to form me. Let me not be content with memory alone. Let me not survive off yesterday's wisdom or borrowed insight. Teach me the discipline of daily listening, not just to the written words, but to the rhythm of your spirit that breathes through them. Open my ears to the nuance of conviction and the embrace of grace that coexist within every phrase you inspired. And when I forget how to listen, Father, remind me that silence is not absence, it is an invitation. Your word does not compete for my attention. It simply remains. And in a world that begs me to be louder, faster, and more, you invite me to be still, to be small, to be slow. You ask me to trade declarations for questions, performances for presence, answers for awe. You show me that truth is not a weapon to win debates, but a balm that binds up the broken. So let me carry your word, not as armor to defend my ego, but as a lantern that lights the steps of those who stumble. Speak into my doubt, not to erase it, but to hold it with care until it dissolves in trust. Speak into my fear, not with promises of immunity, but with reminders of proximity that you are near. Speak into my failures, not to shame me, but to reframe them as places of growth. Let your word not just be a mirror that reveals, but a river that renews. Father, in a time when voices multiply and truth is distorted, teach me to return to the simplicity of your voice. Strip away the embellishments I have added to make faith more palatable or convenient. Take me back to the rawness of your call. Follow me, not follow comfort, not follow a crowd, not follow clarity. just you. That is enough. May your word not sit as a closed book on a shelf or a distant memory from childhood. May it breathe in my decisions, echo in my conversations, and hum beneath the surface of my days. When I speak, may it be out of overflow. When I am silent, may it be in reverence. When I am confused, may it be my compass. And when I am tired, may it be the hand that steadies me. Let the truths I read not remain trapped in pages, but leap into action through my life. Let them shape how I forgive, how I wait, how I speak, how I serve. Let them interrupt my judgments, my assumptions, my habits. Let them challenge the comfortable corners of my life that I have labeled enough. For your word does not flatter. It transforms. It does not appease. It purifies. And in its light, there is always more to become. Help me not to chase novelty, but to find wonder in the familiar. Help me to reread, to relearn, to rediscover truths I have overlooked. Remind me that depth is not always in the new, but in the faithful return. And every time I come back to the same verse, may I come with new eyes, shaped by new valleys, stretched by new joys, and humbled by new questions. Father, let this morning be another turning of the soil. Let your word fall again like rain. Let it soften what is hard, nourish what is dry, and stir what is dormant. Let it remind me that I do not live by bread alone. I live by every word that comes from you. And if I find myself wandering, let your voice be the one that calls me home, not with thunder, but with tenderness, not with condemnation, but with clarity, not with noise, but with knowing, because you know me, and still, you speak, you see me, and still, you stay, and that alone is enough for today. Father, it is in the quiet stillness of this moment that I recognize how you never waver. As I follow the gentle thread of your word from yesterday's whisper to today's awakening, I realize that your presence does not fluctuate with my emotions. While I am prone to change, prone to distraction, prone to retreat, you are steady. You are constant not because you are distant, but because you are faithful. You remain when everything else shifts. And in that unwavering presence, I find the quiet invitation to trust not because of what I feel, but because of who you are. There is something sacred in how you move without spectacle. No flash, no force, no frenzy, just a soft, daily offering of yourself. Your mercies renew like sunrise. Not because you need to prove yourself again, but because you delight in showing up. And so I ask, Father, that you help me cherish the ordinary rhythms where you dwell. For it is not always in the fire or the wind or the earthquake that you speak. It is in the consistency of the still small voice that calls me again each morning. This journey of walking with you, it is not made of grand moments alone. It is made of the quiet repetition of showing up, of returning to the same posture of surrender, the same breath of dependence, the same yes to your way. And while the world celebrates urgency and results, you celebrate presence and process. You invite me into a life not of performance, but of perseverance. And it is in the dailiness of devotion, in the repetition of reaching, in the unseen acts of faithfulness, that you build something enduring within me. Teach me, Father, not to overlook the sacred power of consistency. Remind me that transformation is not always a single breakthrough moment, but often 1,000 small obediences stacked like stones. Each prayer, each surrender, each act of kindness, each silent offering of trust, none of it is wasted in your hands. Even repetition becomes refinement. What seems ordinary to me is holy to you, because you see not just what I do, but who I am becoming through it. There are days when I crave novelty, when I chase something new to feel alive. But you remind me that true life is not found in escape, but in returning to the path, returning to your presence, returning to the disciplines that draw me closer to your heart. It is not about striving for perfection. It is about choosing to begin again. Every day, even after I fall, even after I forget, because your grace meets me not just in my progress, but in my persistence. Let me not grow weary of the slow work you are doing in me. Let me not despise the seasons that feel quiet, where growth is hidden, where nothing seems to move, for even the roots grow in silence, even the seeds break in darkness. And if you are not rushed, then why should I be? Help me believe that faithfulness in the little things is what forms the foundation for the greater things you long to do. Father, you are the same yesterday, today, and forever. And while that truth stretches far beyond my comprehension, it becomes deeply personal when I realize that your constancy is what holds me when I am undone. You are not a God who loves in moments. You are a God who stays, and in the slow unfolding of each day, you are weaving a story that does not need to be rushed, because it is rooted in eternity. So even when I do not see fruit, even when I do not feel fire, let me remain faithful. Let me return to prayer when it feels dry. Let me open your word when it feels quiet. Let me worship when the feelings do not come easy. Let me choose forgiveness before the emotions agree. Let me continue to show up in love, in hope, in truth, not because it always feels powerful, but because it is powerful, because you honor the rhythm of return more than the roar of emotion. There is strength in steady faith. There is courage in quiet commitment. There is beauty in becoming, even when it is unseen. And Father, I want to become more like you. I want my life to echo the rhythm of your reliability. Let my reactions reflect your patience. Let my decisions reflect your peace. Let my words carry the tone of your kindness, not just once in a while, but consistently, not only when it is easy, but especially when it is not. You have never failed to meet me when I return. Even when I have wandered, even when I have delayed, even when I have doubted, you have always been there, not with judgment, but with welcome, not with shame, but with strength. And so I ask that you make me one who returns quickly, not out of guilt, but out of love. Let me never grow too proud to come back, too busy to be still, too self-reliant to listen. Teach me to value the process more than the pace. Teach me to be faithful in obscurity, when no one sees, when no one affirms, when no reward is promised, for it is there, in the quiet place, that you build in me the strength to carry the calling. It is there that you prepare me for moments I cannot yet see. It is there that you shape my character to match the assignment. Father, I do not want to be one who starts strong but finishes weak. I want to be rooted. I want to be stable. I want to carry consistency, not as a burden, but as a banner of your grace at work within me. Let the habits of my life align with the hope I profess. Let the hidden places of my heart echo the same faith I speak aloud. Let my consistency be my worship, even when I feel nothing, even when answers are delayed, even when prayers echo back in silence. Still I will come, still I will sit, still I will seek, not because I am strong, but because you are worth it. Because you never stop meeting me, never stop loving me, never stop holding me. So here I am again. Father, another morning, another breath, another small act of showing up. Let it be enough. Let it be holy. Let it be the brick in the building of something eternal. For I believe you are doing more in my faithfulness than I could ever do in my striving. And as I go into this day, let the rhythm of your constancy guide my steps. Let me not seek the mountaintop moments, but cherish the quiet walk with you. Let me find joy in the daily. Let me find purpose in the repetition. Let me find you in the middle of it all. Because you are not just the God of the miraculous. You are the God of the mundane made meaningful. Father, even now as the morning quiet stills the noise within, I come to you again not to speak first, but to listen. You have been teaching me that devotion is not merely in the words I offer, but in the ears I lend, just as consistency leads me to show up again and again. Now you draw me to sit longer, slower, deeper where I can truly hear. Not just hear with my ears, but listen with my soul. Because you, Father, are not a God who shouts over chaos. You wait for stillness. You speak in peace. And I long to become a person who knows how to recognize the language of your whisper. So often I rush into prayer like someone carrying a checklist. I come with petitions, with urgency, with emotion, and then I leave before you can answer. But you are not hurried, and neither is love. You wait. You linger. You invite me not into transaction, but communion, and I confess, Father, that I have too often sought your hand more than your heart. But now I want to be still long enough to let your voice reshape mine, to let your truth override the noise of my own opinions. Teach me how to dwell in a posture of listening, not just during these sacred mornings, but throughout my day. Let my spirit remain open, alert to your gentle corrections, your divine nudges, your quiet encouragements that others might miss. Because you do not always interrupt. Sometimes you wait to be invited in. You do not demand attention. You deserve it. And when I slow down, even briefly, I begin to realize you have been speaking all along. I just had not made room to hear. Sometimes, Father, I wonder what I have missed simply because I filled the silence too quickly. I have filled it with fear, with assumption, with noise, with the need to be heard. But I want to live differently. I want to become someone who treasures silence, not because it is empty, but because you are there. The stillness is not absence, it is presence. And when I learn to wait, to lean in, to breathe deeply and just be with you, something shifts inside me. The panic quiets. The questions loosen their grip. The answers stop mattering as much as the awareness that you are near. Help me, Father, not to confuse silence with distance. So often, I mistake your quiet for your absence. But you are never absent. Sometimes you are just teaching me to listen better, to go deeper, to move beyond surface reactions into the steadiness of trust, just as the ocean speaks below its waves. So do you move below my circumstances. And in learning to listen, I am learning to trust that I do not need to hear everything to believe you are working. Let me not only hear you when it is convenient, when it is dramatic, when it confirms what I already want. Let me hear you when it challenges me. Let me hear you when it slows me down. Let me hear you when it calls me to repent, to release control, to forgive, to move forward when I would rather stay in place. Because your voice is not always comfortable, but it is always kind. You do not flatter. You transform. You do not manipulate. You free. And the freedom that comes from listening is the kind that runs deeper than feelings. It becomes a foundation. Father, help me recognize when you are speaking through things I overlook. A sunrise that warms my skin, a pause in conversation, a phrase from someone unaware of how deeply their words cut through my walls. A scripture that reads differently today than it did yesterday. A memory that returns just when I needed it. You are not limited to one voice. You sing in layers. You guide in textures. You reveal yourself in the very fabric of my everyday life. And I do not want to miss it because I was too loud inside. Quiet the critic in my head, the one that judges every thought, analyzes every motive, interrupts the peace with doubt. Quiet the rush to fix everything, to control the outcome, to make sure I am heard. Let me surrender those parts of me that feel the need to always respond, always solve, always explain, and instead make room for you. Let me become someone who listens without fear, who waits without frustration, who trusts without needing all the facts lined up. Listening is not passivity. It is obedience in its most intimate form. It is the soil where faith takes root. It is how you grow discernment in me, not just the ability to hear, but the wisdom to know what to do with what I hear. And that wisdom, Father, is what I long for, because the world is noisy. The world is convincing. The world shouts with urgency and opinion and fear. But your voice, your true voice, carries peace. And I want that peace to become the rhythm of my soul. Even when I do not fully understand, even when I only hear a fragment, help me to obey what I have heard. Help me to take the next step without demanding the full map. Because often you reveal truth in portions. Not because you withhold, but because you want me to walk closely, step by step, breath by breath, word by word. You are more interested in relationship than revelation. And listening is the bridge that connects the two. Father, I want to carry your voice with me into the noise. I want to become someone who walks into chaos with the calm of someone who has heard from heaven. I want to be slow to speak and quick to listen not only to others, but to you. I want my responses to be shaped not by impulse, but by intimacy. I want to lead not from ego, but from your echo. Let my influence be a reflection of how well I have listened in secret places, not how loudly I speak in public ones. And when I feel uncertain, when the path is unclear, when the noise rises again, when opinions clash, and pressure mounts, remind me to return, to sit, to listen, to wait, because that is where clarity is born, not in the chaos of reaction, but in the quiet of revelation. Father, may my heart grow soft to your voice. May my spirit lean toward your whisper. May my entire life become a listening prayer, not just these mornings, but every moment. Let the posture I begin this day with carry through until night. Let me end not with exhaustion from striving, but with the settled peace of someone who has walked with you, listened to you, followed you, because when I hear you, even briefly, even faintly, I am reminded that I am not alone. I am not adrift. I am not directionless. You are speaking. You have always been speaking. And now, finally, I am learning how to truly listen. Father, in the quiet that follows listening, I hear something deeper calling. It is not just your voice guiding me, it is your will inviting me. And now, Father, as I learn to listen more clearly, I sense you leading me into something more costly, more refining, more holy. Obedience, not the kind built on duty or fear, but the kind that flows from love, the kind that does not wait to understand everything before moving, the kind that trusts even when the path is narrow and the reasons are hidden. Obedience, Father, is where listening becomes action. It is the sacred movement that proves love is more than emotion. In this morning light, I realize how many times I have heard your whisper, but hesitated to follow. I told myself I needed confirmation. I told myself the timing was not right. I convinced myself that waiting was wisdom, but what I lacked was not clarity. It was courage. And you are teaching me that obedience is often born in the smallest brave decisions that no one sees. But you, there is a kind of peace that only follows obedience, a stillness that rests in knowing I have done what you asked, even if no one applauds, even if it costs me comfort or pride, because the reward of obedience is not the outcome, it is the intimacy. It is the nearness that comes when I walk where you walk. Speak what you speak. Give what you gave. Obedience clears the air between us. It removes the fog of compromise. It makes room for your presence to move freely in me. Sometimes, Father, obedience means letting go of offenses I have held like armor, letting go of control I have gripped with white-knuckled fear, letting go of the need to be understood or approved, letting go of bitterness I have justified and wounds I have rehearsed, because you never force surrender. You wait. You invite. And you keep loving me even when I resist. But now I am beginning to see that obedience is not the loss of freedom, is the doorway into it. You are not a harsh taskmaster. You are not waiting to catch me failing. You are a gentle father who knows that every step of obedience draws me closer to joy, even when it is hard, even when it costs more than I expected, even when it requires me to walk into unknown places, speak hard truths, or remain silent when I want to defend myself. Obedience is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is quiet, hidden, deeply internal. But it always matters, because it always moves me closer to you. Help me, Father, to obey not just in the obvious things, but in the small nudges, when you prompt me to forgive first, when you ask me to give generously, when you lead me to serve without credit, to speak life when I am weary, to wait patiently when I want to rush ahead. Obedience in these moments forms a life that reflects your character more than any speech or status ever could. It becomes the rhythm of faith, steady, unseen, transforming me from the inside out. I confess that sometimes I have feared obedience because I have equated it with loss, but you are showing me that what I lose through obedience is never worth keeping, and what I gain, peace, purpose. Your presence is far more lasting. You are not trying to take from me. You are trying to free me. You are removing weights I was not meant to carry, masks I was not meant to wear, expectations I was not designed to fulfill. And every yes to you is a no to something that once held me back. Let obedience become my natural response, not my reluctant burden. Let my heart be soft to your instructions. Even when they stretch me, let me stop treating surrender like sacrifice and start seeing it as worship. Because when I obey out of love, the doing becomes delight. It is no longer about rules or rituals. It is about responding to someone I trust more than I trust myself. Father, thank you for the times you asked me to do hard things. The times you did not explain everything in advance. The moments you invited me to walk by faith and not by sight. Those were the places where I met you in new ways, not as an idea or doctrine, but as a living, breathing, present Father who was guiding me with care and wisdom and love. I did not always see it then, but looking back, I can trace the grace in every hard yes. Even now, there are things you are calling me into, decisions I have delayed, steps I have avoided, conversations I have postponed, and I feel you gently pressing again, not with condemnation, but with quiet clarity. You are not angry, you are near, and you are inviting me to trust you more than I trust the safety of standing still. So help me, Father, to move. Help me to step forward, to say yes, to act in faith, knowing that obedience is never wasted when it flows from love. Let obedience become the song my life sings. Let it echo in my relationships, in my work, in my thoughts, in my unseen choices. Let it saturate how I speak, how I spend, how I serve, how I wait. Let it not be a burden, but a joy. Let it become the proof that I have not only heard your voice, but I have allowed it to shape me. Because love that listens and does not obey is not yet whole, but love that listens and obeys becomes a reflection of the one it follows. And Father, when I fail, I know I will remind me that obedience is not perfection. It is persistence. It is returning again and again to say yes where I once said no. It is allowing grace to lift me back to my feet, not to wallow in guilt, but to walk forward in mercy. Obedience is not about earning your love. It is how I respond to the love I already have. And that truth changes everything. It silences shame. It revives hope. It restores joy. This morning, Father, I recommit to a heart that not only listens but obeys, not for show, not for status, but because I love you, and I want my life to say that in every decision, every direction, every detail, even when no one else understands, even when the results are unseen, even when it costs something dear, because you, Father, are worth more than my comfort. You are worth my surrender. And obedience is not about what I lose, it is about who I become. Let today be marked by little obediences, a choice to be kind, a moment of humility, a word withheld when silence speaks louder, a gift given in secret, a task done with excellence though no one sees. Let me find you not only in my worship, but in my walk. Let obedience be where I meet you again, and again not in grand gestures, but in faithful steps. Because this is where life grows deep, not in applause, but in alignment, not in rush, but in reverence, not in rule-keeping, but in relationship, and in every yes. Father, I find myself more like the one who gave the greatest yes of all. Father, even in obedience, there are seasons when your voice becomes quiet. After the clarity of your calling, after the courage to act, there sometimes follows a stillness I do not understand. And yet, Father, it is in this very stillness that I am learning the meaning of trust, not trust in outcomes or timelines, but trust in you, in who you are when I cannot see what you are doing. You led me to say yes, and now you lead me into silence. Not because you have left, but because you are deepening something within me. This silence is not absence. It is invitation. An invitation to hold fast to what you said, even when I hear nothing new. An invitation to believe you are working, even when my senses perceive no movement. And it is here, in this quiet tension, that faith takes root, not in the noise of certainty, but in the hush of waiting. Waiting, Father, is a kind of obedience all its own. It is the willingness to remain where you placed me, even when I long to move. It is choosing peace over panic, stillness over striving, presence over productivity. The silence teaches me to listen not with my ears, but with my spirit, to discern not just answers, but your nearness, to rest not in progress, but in the presence of the one who holds all things in his hands. I used to fear silence. I filled it with noise, with plans, with distractions. I mistook activity for assurance. But now I see that silence is not void, it is space. Space where you shape me quietly. Space where you strip away what I do not need. Space where I learn that you are enough, even without explanation, even without applause, even without visible results. Father, it is here I learn to trust you not for what you do, but for who you are, not for the miracles, but for the mystery, not for the answers, But for the anchor, you are the stillness in my storm, the breath in my anxiety, the hand I cannot always see but always sense. You do not need to speak loudly to be present. You do not need to show movement to be moving. You are constant, faithful, unshaken. Even when everything else feels uncertain, in this silence, I am learning to surrender the need for proof. I do not need signs when I have your character. I do not need immediate results when I have your promises. I do not need a clear map when I have your hand in mine. You are not late. You are not distant. You are not withholding. You are near, even when you are quiet. And that nearness is enough to carry me through this waiting. Trust is not a feeling. It is a choice. A daily, deliberate choice to believe you are who you say you are. Even when I feel forgotten, even when the path grows dim, even when others seem to move forward while I remain still, trust is the anchor that holds me steady, not because I understand the wind, but because I am tethered to the one who commands it. Father, let me not mistake silence for abandonment. Let me not confuse waiting with wasting. Let me not allow discouragement to blur what you have already confirmed. Help me return again and again to the truth that you are always working. Even when I do not see it, you are weaving something deeper than my eyes can detect. You are answering prayers in ways I would never expect. You are preparing blessings in places I have not yet reached. And while I wait, refine me, shape my patience, purify my motives, deepen my dependence. Let me become someone who does not just wait passively, but who waits with worship. Let my stillness be filled with expectancy, not with doubt. Let my heart remain soft, not hardened by delay. Let my posture reflect hope, not weariness, because hope does not disappoint when it is anchored in you. Father, in this season, I offer you my questions, not demanding answers, but surrendering control. I offer you my timing, knowing that yours is wiser. I offer you my plans, trusting that your purpose is greater. I offer you my wariness, asking that you exchange it for strength. And I offer you my worship not only in the songs I sing, but in the silence I embrace. There is a holy work you do in the quiet, a work I may never fully understand, but I believe you are using it to build endurance, to strengthen character, to forge faith. And I do not want to rush through what you are using to make me whole. I do not want to bypass the beauty hidden in this moment. I do not want to miss the depth that only silence can uncover. Let me become still enough to hear the heartbeat of heaven. Let me grow quiet enough to notice the subtle ways you comfort and guide. Let me be patient enough to let you complete what you began in me, because your timing is not just right, it is redemptive. It does not just deliver the result, it transforms me along the way. Father, I remember how you were silent with those you loved before me. You were quiet when Joseph sat in prison, when Moses wandered in the desert, when David hid in caves, when Mary carried the mystery of heaven in her womb. You were not absent then, and you are not absent now. You were preparing, protecting, perfecting, and you are doing the same in me. So I will stay here, Father, not stuck, but surrendered. Not passive, but present. Not anxious, but anchored. I will trust the process because I trust the person leading it. And even when I do not feel progress, I will believe that you are growing something within me that will last longer than any shortcut. I will not despise this quiet season. I will embrace it as sacred. Let this day be filled not with the noise of striving, but with the peace of trusting. Let me walk slowly. Speak kindly. Listen deeply. Let my silence be filled with substance. Let my quiet be filled with confidence. Let every pause become a prayer. Let every moment of stillness draw me closer to the one who never slumbers, never forgets, never stops loving. Father, I choose trust today, not because I see, but because I believe, not because I understand, but because I know you do. Not because the path is clear, but because the one who leads me is good. Let trust be the language of my life. Let it shape how I wait, how I worship, how I walk. And in the silence, may I find not emptiness, but the fullness of you. Dear Heavenly Father, you see into the deepest corners of my heart, the places even I have been afraid to enter. As I woke this morning, the quiet was louder than usual, as if the silence itself carried the weight of unresolved things. And in that stillness, I realized bitterness still lingers, like a splinter buried too deep to see, but sharp enough to wound with every movement. Father, I bring this before you, because I can no longer carry it. It is time to stop hiding it behind politeness, behind smiles, behind business that only distracts and never heals. I have tried to ignore the sting of old wounds. I have told myself to move on, to let time wash it away, but time alone does not cleanse what the heart clings to. There are words I never got to say and ones I wish I had not. There are people whose faces still rise uninvited in my memory, not to bring joy but to stir pain. And sometimes, if I am honest, I hold on to those memories because they justify my anger. They validate the version of the story where I was wronged and someone else is to blame. But in holding on, I have also held back from fully living. I see now that my clenched fists have kept me from receiving what you've wanted to place in my hands. So, Father, I open my hands today. I unclench what I have been gripping for too long. I surrender the need to be right, the desire to win arguments long past, the false comfort of resentment. Not because they do not matter, but because they are not meant to define me. I am not the sum of my pain. I am not the echo of betrayal or disappointment. I am not the cold aftermath of trust broken. I am yours, and you call me to more than survival. You call me to peace. I confess. Sometimes I fear that if I forgive, it means what they did was acceptable. But you remind me that forgiveness does not excuse. It sets free. And first, it sets me free. It releases me from the role of judge and places justice into your hands, where it belongs. You are not asking me to forget, but to remember differently, not through the lens of pain, but through the lens of your healing. I ask you to help me see the humanity of those who hurt me. They were broken, too, maybe not in ways I understand, but in ways you do. Help me see them not as enemies, but as people who, like me, struggle, stumble, and bleed. It does not make the pain they cause disappear, but it begins to disarm its power. It reminds me that vengeance is not the path to restoration. Mercy is, and mercy begins here, with this prayer, with this choice to let go. Some days, bitterness disguises itself as wisdom. It whispers, "Never trust again. Never love that freely again." Protect yourself. But you whisper something different. You say, "Come to me. I will guard your heart while you live fully." You do not ask me to walk foolishly, but you do ask me to walk freely. There is a difference, and I want that freedom more than I want the safety of walls built by bitterness. I have seen what bitterness does. I have watched it twist joy into sarcasm, hope into cynicism, compassion into distance. I have seen it in others, and I have seen it in me. It drains the color from life, but your peace restores what bitterness steals. It is not loud, but it is deep. It does not demand revenge. It offers release. It is not weakness. It is strength wrapped in stillness. I long for that peace, and I believe you long to give it. So today, I choose to begin again. I know the process won't be immediate. I may still wake tomorrow with traces of the same H, but each morning is another invitation. Each breath is another moment of surrender. And as I keep surrendering, you keep healing. Your patience outlasts my resistance. Your grace holds me in place until I am ready to walk forward again. Father, remind me that bitterness is not my inheritance. Your love is, and your love writes a better ending than the one bitterness tries to script. Your love turns wounds into testimonies, failures into compassion, loss into wisdom. Nothing is wasted in your hands, not even pain, especially not pain. What I once thought would break me, you are now using to rebuild me. Give me the courage to speak the words I have withheld, not to reopen wounds, but to close them properly. Let my voice carry grace, not just truth. Let my presence reflect peace, not quiet rage. Let my life become a testimony of how love can uproot even the deepest bitterness. I thank you for not rushing me, but also not leaving me where I was. Thank you for the countless unseen ways you have carried me through the tangled forest of hurt, gently guiding me toward the clearing. And though I may not yet be out of the woods, I now see glimpses of light breaking through the trees. I feel the air becoming easier to breathe. I sense the weight starting to lift. I trust you to finish what you have started in me. You are not done, and neither am I. Not as long as I keep returning to you. Not as long as I keep choosing forgiveness over fury, release over revenge, freedom over fear. Today, I step forward. Not perfectly, but sincerely, not with a clean slate, but with a willing heart. I may limp at first, but I will move, because bitterness has no home in a heart held by you, and peace is the path you have marked for me to walk. One step, one surrender, one sunrise at a time. Father, as I rise into this new morning, I bring you the echoes of yesterday as surrender. I am still breathing in the quiet courage it took to let go of bitterness, and I am realizing now that forgiveness was only the beginning. Releasing the weight of anger created a sacred space. But now I stand here wondering, what do I fill it with? What comes after letting go? And in that question, I hear you whisper one word that both stirs hope and stings with risk. Trust. Trust. Father, that word feels both healing and terrifying. It feels like walking barefoot after a storm, not knowing if thorns remain hidden in the soil. I want to trust, but I also remember how it felt when trust was broken. It was not just disappointment, it was disorientation, a sudden unraveling of safety, and the instinct to protect myself still rises like a reflex. Yet, somehow, I know I cannot live fully while hiding behind armor forged from old wounds. You never meant for me to stay in survival mode. You did not create me to constantly brace for betrayal, to view kindness with suspicion, to see closeness as a threat. You are calling me into something more, into a posture of openness, into the vulnerable but sacred act of trusting again. And while part of me wants to run from that, there is a deeper part that longs to follow. So I begin here, in this stillness, asking you to teach me what trust looks like when it has been shaken. Not the naive kind that denies danger, but the resilient trust that believes healing is stronger than harm. Help me discern wisely, not fearfully. Help me remember that trust is not a reckless leap into anyone's arms, but a gradual leaning toward love with you at the center, holding my heart like only you can. I confess, Father, that sometimes it is easier to hold on to independence than to risk interdependence. I tell myself I am self-sufficient. But truthfully, it is fear dressed in control. I think if I can manage everything on my own, I won't be caught off guard. But in doing so, I also shut out joy. I close the door to comfort. I silence the laughter that only shared life can bring. And perhaps worst of all, I rob myself of the very reflection of your heart connection. You designed us for relationship, not isolation. And yet, when trust is broken, the temptation is to retreat. I have built walls that felt wise at the time, but now they only echo my own voice back to me. No one can reach in, and if I am honest, I can reach out either. So today, I ask for courage to begin dismantling those walls, not all at once, but brick by brick. Teach me to be brave enough to be seen, even in my healing. Remind me, Father, that trust us does not mean forgetting what has happened, but choosing to believe that what lies ahead can be better. Trust is not about denying pain, it is about believing that pain does not get the final word. You are the author of redemption. You weave brokenness into beauty, not by erasing the cracks, but by letting light shine through them. So let me be willing to trust again, starting with you. When I hesitate, steady my spirit. When I flinch at vulnerability, remind me that you never mishandle what I place in your hands. When others fail me, and they will help me remember that you never do. You are not like them. You do not lie, manipulate, or disappear. You are constant. And if I anchor my trust in you first, I will not be destroyed when human hearts falter. I will hurt, yes, but I will not collapse. Let my trust be rooted in truth, not wishful thinking. Let it grow from discernment, not desperation. Let it be watered by grace, not guilt. Let it reflect the patience you have shown me, the mercy you have poured out, the safety you have proven day after day. I have seen you come through when I had no one else. I have felt you near when others walked away. You are my foundation, and trust built on you will not crumble. Help me, Father, not to project past wounds onto present people. Let me meet others where they are, not where I last got hurt. Let me listen without assuming, receive without bracing, love without keeping score. I do not want to test every soul that enters my life as if they are suspects. I want to welcome with wisdom, not suspicion. I want to extend kindness without constantly measuring its return. I know trust is not a switch, it is a journey, a slow unfolding, a daily decision to try again. And I accept that it will be imperfect. I may trust too quickly sometimes and get hurt. Other times, I may hesitate too long and miss a blessing. But even in those missteps, you remain my guide. You recalibrate my heart, teaching me through experience what books cannot explain. You are my compass when human interactions grow complicated. And Father, if I struggle to trust others, let me never stop trusting you. You are the anchor in every storm, the shelter when uncertainty howls, the quiet voice that calms my anxious thoughts. Teach me to trust you with timing, with outcomes, with hearts including my own. Teach me to trust you when I can't trust myself, when my emotions deceive me, when fear whispers old lies. Speak louder than fear. Speak life into my doubts. And as I trust you more, I believe you will restore my ability to trust others. Not recklessly, but freely. Not carelessly, but with wisdom and hope. Because trust is not just about other people, it is about who I am becoming. It is about walking through the world with a heart that chooses openness over retreat, presence over avoidance, peace over paranoia. Thank you, Father, for showing me that trust is a gift I give not only to others, but also to myself. It is the path that leads me out of isolation into intimacy, out of survival into flourishing. I may still be learning, still healing, still hesitating, but I am also still hoping. And that hope, however fragile, is holy. It carries me forward. One breath, one step, one prayer at a time. Father, in the quiet stillness of this new day, I return again to your presence, not with answers, but with expectancy. After learning to forgive, after learning to trust again, I find myself searching for something even deeper, even lighter, something almost foreign after so much sorrow. I find myself longing for joy, not just relief from pain, not just peace from past wounds, but real, radiant joy that rises from the ashes like a morning sun pushing through the last veil of night. And yet, Father, joy feels distant sometimes, like a song I used to know, but have forgotten the melody. I remember seasons of laughter, moments of delight that bubbled up without effort. But somewhere along the way, grief grew louder, and I learned to protect myself from disappointment by expecting less. I muted my hope to soften the fall. I told myself that neutrality was safer than dreaming, and in doing so, I lost the rhythm of joy. But you, Father, are the God of joy, not the shallow kind built on perfect circumstances, but the kind that dances in the rain, sings in the prison cell, and breathes life into dry bones. You created joy as a lifeline, not a luxury, as a birthright, not a bonus. And I want to live in that truth again. I want to remember how to delight in small things without waiting for everything to be fixed. I want to celebrate without apology, to smile without hesitation, to feel light without guilt. I know, Father, that joy does not mean ignoring sorrow. It is not pretending everything is fine. It is not spiritual denial or emotional amnesia. True joy makes room for reality, it just refuses to be defined by it. It rises not because pain disappears, but because your presence remains. It shines not because the road is easy, but because you walk beside me on it. Joy, like trust, is a choice, a bold declaration that darkness does not win. So today, I ask you to teach me again how to be joyful. Teach me how to find gladness not in perfection, but in your presence, not in what I achieve, but in who I am becoming through you. Let me notice beauty without rushing past it. Let me linger in laughter without explaining it away. Let me gather memories of goodness and store them like treasure in the corners of my heart. I need that light to carry me when days grow heavy again. Help me, Father, not to postpone joy until the pain is gone. Help me not to bargain with happiness, holding it hostage until life looks like a highlight reel. Let me find it now in this breath, in this morning, in this sacred moment that will never come again. Let me see joy in the way the light spills through the window, in the first sip of warmth, in the silence that reminds me I am still here. Let me begin small, but let me begin. I confess that sometimes joy makes me uncomfortable. It feels almost disloyal to the pain I have carried, as if smiling betrays what I have lost, as if dancing mocks the graves I have stood beside. But you remind me that joy does not erase grief, it honors it. It says, even here, life continues. Even here, I still believe in beauty. Even here, I choose to rise. Joy is not forgetting. It is remembering that my story is not over. You have placed eternity in our hearts, Father, and in that eternal promise is a wellspring of joy that suffering cannot steal. Teach me to draw from it, even when circumstances offer nothing. Teach me to laugh again, not with sarcasm or cynicism, but with sincerity, with that deep, belly-shaking joy that surprises even me. Let my joy be so genuine that it becomes contagious. Not performative. Let it overflow into others like warmth on a cold day. And when I struggle to feel joy, Father, let me choose gratitude. Let thankfulness become my practice, even before joy becomes my feeling. Let me list the things I can still cherish, the people I love, the breath in my lungs, the grace that sustains me, the peace that holds me together when everything else falls apart. Gratitude lays the foundation where joy can return, where it can rebuild what was lost. Remind me that joy is not a fragile glass to protect, but a seed to plant. It can grow even in barren places. It can bloom through cracked soil. It may start as a whisper, a flicker, but with you, it can become a fire that warms, that lights, that draws others close. Let me be unafraid to kindle it, even when the world tells me to be serious, to be cautious, to be realistic. Joy is not the absence of wisdom. It is the evidence of faith. Father, let joy be my rebellion against despair. Let it be my answer to cynicism, my response to cruelty, my declaration that love is still stronger. When the world groans with chaos and grief, let me carry joy not as denial, but as resistance, as proof that hope still breathes. Let my joy interrupt sorrow's narrative, even if just for a moment. Let it be a song in the silence, a light in the hallway, a reason to keep going. I know that joy, like any sacred thing, must be protected, not hidden, but tended to. So guard my heart against the thieves of joy comparison. Bitterness, regret. Let me not measure my life by what others display. Let me not poison today with yesterday's regrets. Let me not trade the present moment for anxiety about the future. Show me how to be fully here, fully alive, fully grateful. And if there are people in my life who have lost their joy, let me not preach to them but sit with them. Let me bring presence before I bring perspective. Let my joy never become a weapon or a performance. Let it be a shared table, an open door, a soft light that draws others near without fear of being misunderstood. Let it reflect you not my strength, but your tenderness, not my cheerfulness, but your unshakable goodness. Thank you, Father, for not expecting me to manufacture joy, but for offering it freely. It is not a reward I earn, it is a gift I receive. So today, with open hands and an aching heart, I say yes, yes to laughter, yes to dancing, yes to wonder, yes to joy that rises not after the storm, but right in the middle of it. I choose it, not because everything is right, but because you are still God, and that alone is reason enough. Father, you who breathe life into stillness and call strength from weakness, I come again into your presence with a heart that is learning how to rise. After joy has been rekindled and laughter has returned like an old friend knocking gently at the door, I find myself standing at the edge of another invitation, one that asks more of me than comfort ever has. This morning, Father, I sense you whispering a sacred call. Choose courage. It is not a loud command. It is not a trumpet or a shout. It is a quiet nudge, a stirring in the soul that will not be silenced. Courage does not wait until I feel ready. It does not consult my fears before asking me to move. Courage appears when I would rather stay hidden, when the risk feels too great, when the wound is still fresh. And yet, you call me forward not recklessly, but faithfully. Father, I confess that I have grown used to safety. I have made a home in predictability, finding false peace in the things I can control. I have mistaken the absence of conflict for the presence of peace. But deep within, I know that comfort has become too small a space for the soul you are shaping in me. I was not created to live behind walls of fear or beneath ceilings of self-protection. I was created to walk boldly with you. And so I ask, Father, what does courage look like today, not in heroic gestures or dramatic choices, but in the quiet corners of my life? Is it speaking truth when silence is easier? Is it opening my heart again when disappointment still lingers? Is it staying when leaving would be simpler? Or leaving when staying would mean shrinking? Give me the wisdom to discern the courageous path, even when it costs. Help me remember that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. Let me carry trembling hands with dignity. Let my shaking voice still speak. Let the beating of my anxious heart not be a sign of failure, but proof that I am alive, that I am growing, that I am answering the call to become who you made me to be. You, Father, have never promised an easy road, but you have promised presence. And in that promise, courage finds its roots. It is not the strength I muster that will sustain me, but the assurance that you go before me. You stand behind me. You walk beside me. You dwell within me. That is the courage I cling to, not my bravery, but your nearness. Let me be bold in small ways today. Let me reach out when it would be safer to withdraw. Let me apologize first, even when pride resists. Let me ask for help, though shame tries to silence me. Let me speak up for others, especially when their voices are ignored. Let me act not for attention, but from conviction. Let courage be woven into the fabric of my ordinary moments. Father, I pray not only for courage to do great things, but for courage to do the next right thing, to get up again, to try again, to forgive again, to believe again, to trust again. Let courage not be an event, but a rhythm, a pattern of showing up even and when the outcome is uncertain, a practice of leaning into discomfort, a knowing you are already there. And when I fail, when fear wins the round, let me not bury myself in shame. Let me return to you, unafraid, remembering that courage is not perfection. It is persistence. It is rising again. It is letting you use even my stumbles as stepping stones towards strength. Teach me to be gentle with myself as I grow braver. Let my life speak courage to others, not in loud declarations, but in quiet faithfulness. Let the way I live whisper to weary hearts, you can keep going too. Let those who watch my journey see not a fearless person, but a deeply human one who refuses to let fear define the story. Let them see your hand steadying mine. Let my courage make space for theirs. Father, I know that comfort will always beckon. It will promise ease, predictability, and numbness, but it will never offer growth. It will never offer depth. It will never offer the joy of watching you do the impossible through trembling vessels. So today, I choose something better. I choose courage, because I choose you. And if courage leads me to uncomfortable places, to stretching moments, to tension and tears, let me not retreat. Let me remember that you are not trying to break me, but to build me. You are not punishing me, but preparing me. You are not abandoning me to the struggle, but walking me through it so that I may become strong, compassionate, and whole. Let me also have courage to rest, to stop striving, to embrace limits, to say no when necessary. Let me not confuse exhaustion with devotion. Give me the courage to protect what matters most, even if it means disappointing others. Let me live with intention, not just reaction. Let me choose what is brave, not merely what is easy. And Father, when the world feels chaotic, when injustice screams and love seems small, give me courage to be kind, to stay soft, to listen longer, to build bridges where others burn them. Let my courage be rooted not in power, but in love, not in victory, but in humility. Let it echo the quiet strength of Jesus, who endured the cross with dignity and purpose. Today, I offer you not a fearless heart, but a willing one that quivers but still says yes, one that doubts but still dares, one that falters but still follows. I bring you what I have and trust that is enough in your hands. Let that be my courage to show up, to be seen, to be changed. So here I am again. Father, morning light stretching across the sky, courage rising within like a new day breaking through the dark. I step forward not because I know the way, but because I know the one who walks with me. You are my strength. You are my guide. You are my courage. Father, I come before you again with a heart that is learning to let go. After choosing courage and stepping forward into the unfamiliar, I now stand in that sacred space where outcomes are still unknown and results remain unseen. And in this space, I hear you whisper something deeper still. Surrender. Not surrender as defeat, but surrender as trust. A yielding of my need to control, to predict, to guarantee, a resting in the mystery of what you are doing, even when I cannot yet see the fruit. It is easy to confuse action with assurance, to believe that if I move boldly enough or pray fervently enough, the story will unfold just as I hope. But you are teaching me a different way, where obedience matters more than results, where faith walks further than fear, and where love is not a transaction, but a posture of open hands. Father, I confess how tightly I hold to outcomes. I imagine futures and grow attached to specifics. I build dreams and then place them on pedestals. But sometimes what I build is not what you have planned. Sometimes the outcome I desire is not the one that will lead me to wholeness. And though this is hard to admit, I am beginning to understand that your wisdom far exceeds my understanding. Your timeline unfolds not by pressure, but by purpose. So today I offer you not just my hopes, but my hold on them. Not just my dreams, but my desire to dictate how they come true. Not just my plans, but my permission for you to rewrite them. I surrender the outcome, Father, because I trust your heart. I trust that you are not withholding, but weaving, not ignoring, but guiding. Not delaying, but preparing. Let me find peace in the waiting, not because waiting is easy, but because it teaches me to rely on you. Let me rest in the quiet places between prayers and answers, between sowing and harvest, between obedience and clarity. Let me believe that just because I cannot yet see the finish does not mean you are not working in the unseen. Help me release the illusion that I am in control. Let me lay down the weight of worry that says I must force everything into place. Teach me to move in faith and then rest in surrender, to do my part and trust you with the rest, to speak, to act, to love, and then to let go of needing to manage what follows. Surrender is not passive. It is not giving up. It is choosing peace over panic, trust over tension, stillness over striving. It is the courage to say, even if it does not go as I hoped, I will still walk with you. It is the strength to stay faithful, even when results are delayed. It is the softness of a heart open to being led, even into mystery. Let me surrender not only the big things, but the small ones too, the minor frustrations, the unmet expectations, the awkward conversations, the missed opportunities. Let me bring even these to you, knowing that nothing is too small to release. You are present in it all, working all things, not just the obvious ones, for good. And when disappointment visits, as it sometimes will, let it not unravel my faith. Let me not spiral into shame or question my worth. Let me see unmet expectations as invitations to trust you more deeply. Let me believe that every detour can still lead to beauty, that every delay may be saving me from harm, that every no might be making space for a better yes. Father, I want to live with unclenched hands. I want to walk through this day without gripping every outcome like it defines me. I want to speak and act in love, not because it guarantees success, but because it honors you. I want to offer my presence, not my performance. I want to rest in the truth that I am not responsible for results, only for faithfulness. Let me become someone who can celebrate others, even when my own prayers are still waiting. Someone who can find joy in small things, even when the big things feel uncertain. Someone who can trust the process, even when the path looks messy. Let me see each moment not as a stepping stone to an outcome, but as a sacred space where you are already at work. Teach me to surrender with joy, not with a sigh of resignation, but with the quiet confidence of a child who knows they are loved. Let surrender not feel like loss, but like coming home. Let it remind me that I am not alone in carrying the weight of my life, that you are not asking me to figure everything out, only to walk with you step by step. And if the outcome is different than I hoped, let me not see it as failure. Let me look for the lessons, for the growth, for the deeper good. Let me ask not just why did not it work, but what did I learn? Let every ending become a seed, every setback a shaping, every silence a sacred pause. Father, I surrender not just what I want, but who I thought I needed to be. I surrender the timelines, the expectations, the comparisons. I surrender the pride that says I should have figured it all out by now. I surrender the pressure to be more than I am. I surrender to your love, which never rushes, never condemns, never leaves. Let surrender become my worship. Let it rise like incense from a heart that trusts you with everything and demands nothing. Let it create space in my soul for gratitude to grow. Let it free me to live more lightly, love more deeply, and move more gently through this world. So here I am again. Father, not with all the answers, not with the perfect plan, but with open hands and a willing heart, with a desire to follow wherever you lead, even if I do not know where it ends. I surrender the outcome because I trust the one who holds it. I let go so that I can be held. Father, you see the trembling in my hands even when they appear still. You hear the quiet questions behind my strongest affirmations. And yet, you do not rush me. You meet me again, gently, in this space where surrender has opened a door, not just to peace, but to mystery. I walk through that doorway now, into the unknown, not alone, but aware of your presence walking beside me. The surrender of outcomes has led me here, and now you are inviting me to embrace what I cannot predict, to welcome what I do not yet understand. It is strange how silence can speak so loudly, how stillness can carry weight. In this place where I have laid down my demands, there is no map, no outline, no confirmation of what comes next. Only light enough for the next step, only grace enough for today. And I sense that this, too, is holy, that the path to deeper faith does not begin with certainty, but with willingness. Willingness to keep walking even when I no longer see what lies ahead. Willingness to believe that the fog is not the absence of your will, but sometimes the way you teach me to listen closer. Father, the unknown often makes me anxious. I am wired to want answers, to trace the lines, to build security on the foundation of control. But you are undoing that old need. You are breaking the illusion that safety comes from knowledge. You are gently dismantling the fear that uncertainty equals danger. And in its place, you are offering me something quieter and stronger. Trust that breathes through the fog, that sings in the waiting, that rests even when clarity is delayed. I am learning that the unknown is not my enemy, that it can be a sacred classroom, a holy terrain where intimacy grows. For when I do not know what the future holds, I lean more deeply into the one who holds it. When I cannot rely on my own vision, I learn to walk by yours. When my plans dissolve, I begin to see what you were building all along, something deeper, something freer, something not limited by what I had imagined. Help me, Father, to stop demanding signs and start asking for sight. Not sight that predicts the future, but sight that perceives your fingerprints in the present. Let me see your faithfulness in the small things, the breath I still carry, the morning light that finds me, the strength to begin again. Let me taste the goodness that does not depend on everything going right, but on your goodness that never ceases to flow. In this place of unknowing, let me grow more rooted, not less. Let me not see questions as threats, but as doorways to deeper dialogue with you. Let me bring my uncertainty not to the altar of fear, but to the quiet corner where you wait to listen. Let me stop trying to solve everything and start learning how to stay present in the mystery. You have not called me to understand everything. You have called me to walk with you. And that walk, I am learning, requires not a full map, but a full heart. A heart that is open. A heart that can wonder without needing to resolve. A heart that can worship even while it waits. a heart that knows that you are just as near in the questions as you are in the answers. Teach me to live well in the spaces between clarity and completion. Let me not rush through the chapters of this life in search of the conclusion. Let me linger, listen, and lean into the unknown as sacred ground. Let me bless what I do not yet comprehend, knowing that not all goodness arrives in familiar packaging. Let me trust that what feels like delay may actually be design. Father, shape in me a soul that can withstand mystery, that does not flinch when the path bends unexpectedly, that does not panic when the destination is unclear, that does not measure progress by predictability, but by presence, by how near I am to you in the walk. Regardless of where it leads, let me release the temptation to interpret every closed door as failure. Let me believe that some doors are closed to protect me, that some paths are hidden not as punishment, but as preparation, that sometimes you delay not because I am unworthy, but because you are aligning far more than I can see. Give me the humility to say, I do not know. Without shame, the strength to say, I will still follow. Without needing evidence, the softness to say, I am unsure, while still showing up fully in faith. Let me find in this uncertainty a deepening of conviction, not a weakening of it. Father, let the unknown draw me closer to you. Not away, let it strip away distractions, the noise of false confidence, the clutter of shallow certainty. Let it refine what I truly believe. Let it reveal what I trust when nothing is guaranteed. Let it stretch my soul beyond the limits I once accepted, and help me become someone who walks lightly, lives presently, and listens deeply. Today, I choose to embrace the unknown, not with fear, but with faith, not with clenched fists, but with open hands, not because I understand, but because I am held. I step forward not into darkness, but into mystery lit by grace. I move, not because the way is clear, but because you are near. And even here, even now, even when nothing is certain, I find that I am not alone, that your voice still calls me by name, that your presence still surrounds me like breath, like breeze, like blessing, that your love does not require me to have all the answers, only to stay close. So I will keep walking. I will keep listening. I will keep trusting. I will keep showing up to this day with what I have, even when I do not know what it will bring, because the unknown may not be comfortable, but it is never uninhabited. You are here, and that is enough for today. Dear Heavenly Father, here I am once more, whispering into the quiet of morning, carrying with me not just the echoes of yesterday, but the soft unfolding of today. This final moment of prayer is not the end, but a threshold one I step across with reverence, with memory, and with a quiet expectation. You have walked with me through the weight and wonder of these mornings, each chapter a breath, each word a reaching, each silence a sanctuary. And now, as the horizon stretches wide before me, I do not come with answers, but with a heart open to whatever comes next. The journey you have taken me through in this sacred rhythm has been less about finding what is certain and more about discovering what is true. I have seen how faith grows not in loud proclamations, but in the stillness that dares to believe again and again. I have felt your presence not only in soaring hope, but in trembling hands and tear-streaked prayers. And I have learned that the quiet miracle of every morning is that you are always already here, waiting long before I speak a word. Father, you have taught me to be still and to move, to release and to receive, to surrender and to rise. There were moments along the way when I doubted if I could keep going, when the darkness seemed too deep, when the silence felt like absence, but you kept breathing steady grace into my lungs. You never rushed me, never scolded my slow healing, never withheld light when I needed even just a flicker. You waited with me in every pause, and now you invite me into a new rhythm, one that continues beyond these pages. These words, these early dawns. I have carried heavy things here, memories, griefs, fears I could barely name. I have knelt under the weight of waiting, walked through valleys I did not know how to navigate. And somehow, your mercy met me in them all, not by fixing every detail, but by forming something new in me, a gentler strength, a deeper trust, a tenderness that no longer sees vulnerability as weakness, but as holy space. What once made me afraid now makes me real. What once felt like breaking now feels like becoming. As I prepare to rise from this prayer and walk into the unfolding day, I do so not with the illusion of control, but with the quiet courage of one who is loved, loved in process, loved in progress, loved not because I have mastered peace, but because you are peace, and you are patient. I do not leave this space as someone who has arrived, but as someone who knows how to return, how to find you in the breath, the moment, the ordinary rhythm of life pulsing through it all. There is no final word to this journey. Father, because your love writes itself daily into the fabric of my existence. Each sunrise is a new sentence. Each sigh, a prayer. Each step, a line of trust etched deeper into my bones. So I do not seek to finish, only to continue, to carry what I have found here into each conversation. Each choice, each quiet glance at the sky, to let what has changed in me change the way I live, the way I listen, the way I love. Even now, as I write this last line, I know you are smiling not because I have spoken perfectly, but because I have shown up, because I have brought the fullness of who I am to this table again and again. You have not required eloquence, only honesty, only presence, only the courage to be here, and in that, I have known communion deeper than words. Thank you for every whisper of peace that met me in chaos, for every word of truth that steadied my fear, for every silence that was not empty, but full of your nearness. Thank you for the slow shaping of my soul, the gentle pruning, the unspoken affirmations that reminded me I am not forgotten, that even when I could not see it, healing was happening, that even when I stumbled, you still called me beloved. To everyone who has walked through these prayers alongside me, thank you. You have shared this sacred space, lent your breath to these words, and let your spirit echo with mine. whether in silence or in whispered agreement. Your heart has been part of this journey, and I am grateful. You are not alone. You never were. And together, we have traced the contours of a deeper faith, one that does not shout, but sings softly even when the morning is quiet. I invite you, now, to carry what has stirred in your soul forward, to continue this dialogue with God in your own way, in your own time. Let your thoughts become prayers. Let your questions become conversations. Let your wounds become openings. And when you are moved, share what lives in your heart below your own prayers. Reflections or quiet hopes. Someone else may need what you carry. If this journey has breathed peace into your mornings, I invite you to share it. Share the video, so others may find a quiet place to rest. Subscribe to the channel to continue walking this path with us. And let us keep building a sanctuary for the soul, one day at a time. Your presence here matters. Your story matters. Your faith, however fragile or fierce, is seen. And you are not forgotten. Let us wake again tomorrow, not only to a new day, but to a new mercy. Let us rise not in fear, but in faith, not in striving, but in surrender. Let us walk slowly, gently, fully aware that every moment is a doorway, that every breath is a gift, that every heartbeat is an invitation. Outside, the morning light stretches across the horizon like a promise. A quiet wind moves through the trees with grace too soft to name. And somewhere, a river carries its song downstream. Unhurried, unbroken, unwavering, like faith, like hope, like the quiet love that has held us from the very beginning.